shape our future. We came to feel the music.
Watching TBPN.
Today is Monday, October 6th, 2025. We are live.
1999.
1999. Is it January or is it December 1999? We don't know. We're going to figure it out. We're live from the TBPN Ultradome, the Temple of Technology, the Fortress of Finance, the capital of capital. Today is OpenAI's DevDay. 1,500 people are attending. It's their biggest event ever. They're in Fort Mason. Sam Altman and Johnny Ive are going to be giving a fireside chat. That'll be fun. There's been rumors that the hardware device that they're building is delayed, but I kind of don't care. I read the Financial Times. We'll dig into the Financial Times report, but it's supposed to come out in 2026. Might be pushed a little bit. I don't.
Nothing about the leak made me want it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't doubt that they're going to be able to ship a product. Like, it's Johnny Ive and Sam Altman. They're going to be able to figure out how to manufacture something and sell something. My take was that there are two things that they need to solve that are way more important than, like, can they get a manufacturer to make it and ship it? Like, that's not the problem. The first one is, will people adopt the form factor they pick? The rumor's no screen, which has been tried before by startups with little success. And I remain pretty pilled on what the Meta head of wearables told us about, like, these Lindy form factors, the watch, the tablet computer, the notebook, the hat, the glasses. If you were selling me a smart hat, I might be more down. I mean, the chain, I guess, like the Jesus piece, the smart Jesus piece could be, you're building AI God. Why not create a talisman?
Bigger and bigger chains for more compute.
Something there. But the pin always felt a little odd, and it seems like it's harder to get people to swap over. But the second thing that's, like, really crazy is there are just insane lock-in effects that not even Johnny Ive can overcome when competing with Apple. We talked about this with Meta Ray-Ban displays. You don't get iMessage notifications in Meta Ray-Ban displays.
Yeah, imagine if you had personal super intelligence in this new device form factor.
You're using the Meta buzzword, but this is also what
and it could do anything in the world except send messages on your behalf.
Text your wife. Except for, like, check in on your kids or, like, text your buddy from college. Like, that is a serious missing piece of any hardware device that is not going to be integrated. iMessage has become so dominant. It's been remarkable.
Well,
I never thought of it as a social network, but now I do.
One thing that we can take away from the Humane AI pin is that, and again, the Humane AI pin, from my sense of the leaks around the Johnny Ive project, is that it's not that different. It's more similar to the Humane AI pin in my head right now than it is different.
I mean, the Humane pin had that, like, screen that was, like, the projector. I think they're doing away with that entirely, going voice only. Yeah. It's clear that, like, speech to text is good enough now that you could have a voice interface. I mean, I'm sure that they've seen in the analytics for the ChatGPT app. What's the latest data? 800 million weekly active users? Right?
Yeah, that was in the DevDay presentation.
And I think Jordy had a question for you about that. Is that good?
I heard the number. I thought there's a lot of big numbers thrown around. Usually they're in the billions these days.
Good? Yeah, kind of sandbagging, honestly.
Yeah.
Get to $1 billion, dude.
Yeah.
Come on. But getting that to actually reach a point where people are, using this with their iMessage. There's a bunch of interesting workarounds. Like I could imagine the real prosumers, the real techie folks being like, yes, I have a Mac at home that runs a piece of software that like screen scrapes and interacts and puppeteers all the Apple apps and sucks all the information out of that and puts it wherever I want. I don't think Apple's going to take kindly to that. I think they're going to throw up a bunch of barriers, and people are going to be really, really sticky staying in their Apple ecosystem, at least for like a year or two until Apple can just catch up and kind of clone it back.
I'm just not at all convinced that we need a new device for the current state of models.
Yeah. When you think about...
But new devices are exciting. They're great for building hype. If you look at, friend.com gets 10 times the amount of attention that it does if it was just maybe even 100 or 1,000 if it was just a website.
This is a good take.
That was kind of an angry friend. They get a lot of attention and excitement because you're getting into the conversation around net new platforms and new hardware layers. But we've just seen with Humane, you can build something that's built natively around AI, and it can be a very functional device, right? Nobody was arguing with Humane that it wasn't like it didn't do, like it technically did what it said it was going to do. It's just what it does is not that useful. When you compare it to the cell phone that's already in everyone's pockets.
Or when you compare it to ramp.com. Time is money. Save both. Easy to use corporate cards, bill payments, accounting, and a whole lot more, all in one place. When are we going to get the hardware device from... it is technically a hardware company. You get the card. The card is hardware. It's a hardware company. The Humane device was a little rough. It just feels like there's more opportunity than there is because of how slow Apple moves. But when you think about them partnering with Anthropic at some point, and you're not chatting with GPT-5, but you're chatting with Claude, and you can do that on your AirPods, on your phone, and on your watch, and on your glasses. Like, it's just their game to lose, I feel like, in terms of hardware. Like, they'd really have to mess up to not eventually deliver something when the time is right.
Yeah, because again, AirPods are like a $20+ billion revenue run rate product. That's good. Great for audio,
a lot of things,
and integrated, and you can hear the outside world coming in. And
I just remember, like, when I was a kid, there was a little bit of like an arms race for hardware devices, and Apple was behind on a lot of things. Like, they came out with the iPod, and there was this company called the iRiver that was ahead of them on releasing features. So the iPod had a black and white screen, and this other company came out with essentially an iPod. It blew it out of the water on specs. It had a color screen. You could watch movies on it. Had way more. It was way cheaper. And Android has done that a lot, where the Android phones have had more advanced features many, many times. But people are just locked in.
I just looked up the iRiver. It looks like a vape.
Yeah,
this was some crazy hardware back.
It was great. It was great times.
Did you see Soham Parikh was weighing in?
Yes,
on
the NVIDIA
AMD deal. When Soham Parikh, the real Soham Parikh, is weighing in on some of these circular deals.
Is this the real account?
That's the real account.
There were several knockoff accounts. This is the real account?
It just so happened that the real account was at real Soham Parikh.
Okay.
He says, NVIDIA, Oracle, OpenAI, AMD, what a time to be alive. Certainly is.
Yeah.
Got to get the update from him. How's his life post?
Going exclusive.
Going
exclusive. Yeah, we're having Doug O'Loughlin from Fabricated Knowledge on the show in a little bit. And one of my big questions is, like, how deep will this go? We've heard stories about Sam Altman doing deals, talking to TSMC. And I'm wondering, like, does this get to the point where he's talking to ASML, he's talking to like niche lithography machinery manufacturers about scaling up? Like, he should just start trying to get the entire supply chain.
He should start going around to every company and saying, if you give me warrants, I'll announce a partnership, and
it seems to be working.
Your stock will go up. On average, we've seen the market caps rise, between 20 and 30%, and I'd love to be able to do the same with you.
People are into the OpenAI economy. They are truly propping it up. Well, if you're watching OpenAI DevDay later, it's probably on Restream.io. One live stream, 30 plus destinations, multi-stream to reach your audience wherever they are. Sign up for free. What else is in here? They're launching Agent Builder. Tyler, do you have an update on what they actually launched? I wrote a take kind of based on the leaks and the previews, and I'd love to hear your feedback on my take. But what do we know so far?
Yeah, so they did. It's already over.
Okay.
Or the main live stream.
Cool.
There's like
Did you just say Tyler at TBPN
It's
says
so
it's so over?
I thought we were so back.
It's already over. No,
Okay.
no.
We will get
We're so back.
We will get the timeline update from you in just a little bit, but give us the facts of what was launched and what the product is.
Yeah. Okay. So there were four like main kind of things. So the first one was like apps in ChatGPT.
Okay.
So this was like they showed Zillow. It's kind of just
Sure.
like a little web view.
Yeah.
There was like a Figma thing where you can prompt Figma. It's almost kind of like a Figma make thing.
Okay.
But just it's still on like ChatGPT.com.
Yep. And it requires you to actually have an account there, and so the company that's partnering with them is like monetizing through their traditional path, but then they're
Yes.
using ChatGPT as like a front end.
Yeah, and they announced like soon it's going to be like more open. There's
Yeah.
only I think there was like maybe 8 or 10 companies doing it right now. They're announcing like more ways that it's going to be monetized. And then they did there's like the agent builder. So
Yeah.
this was the leaked kind of video
Yep.
where it's almost like a
It's node-based workflow.
yeah it's almost like a Zapier kind of
Yep.
thing where it's just like a little bit more intelligent. But
Yeah.
there are still it's like if statements
Yep.
just like a
Does
single
it have cron jobs too?
I think so. Yeah.
So in theory, I could say every day check my email, create a digest, then go and do a deep research report on what's going on in the tech news and synthesize my inbox against the tech news to surface anything relevant. So if the CEO of AMD has emailed me and AMD is in the news, I definitely want to get back to them immediately because we want Lisa on the show, something like that.
Yeah. But
Okay.
I mean, there's a big difference between this and kind of what people usually think of as like agents.
Sure.
Right? Like when this is very different than what was the thing they launched a while ago?
Well, they have
Operator.
Yeah, they have
This
Operator,
is quite different from Operator.
and then they have which has browser, and then they have Agent mode.
How many
which I
times have
use.
you used Operator in the last 3 months, Tyler?
I honestly, this is pretty bad, but I don't know if I ever used Operator.
I used Operator a few times. It got kind of stuck on like CAPTCHAs and stuff the one time, but I have used Agent mode more recently, and it's kind of like Deep Research Plus. Like it can just go farther into websites. Like if it can go onto a website like Zillow or Redfin, and it doesn't just need to be like blog posts and summary articles and PDFs. It feels like it can actually go to a website and then type in search results and get a whole bunch more data. It does seem like a better product, but it doesn't seem like it's having crazy takeoff in terms of adoption.
Yeah. And then so the third thing was about Codex.
Yep.
So Codex was in research preview. It's now like GA. I don't think that there weren't a ton of like big updates there. And then the fourth thing was just like various APIs. So there's a Sora 2 API. It's 10 cents per second, which is like quite cheap. That's
Okay.
much cheaper than I thought it would be.
Yeah, wait, we were debating this, right? It was $3 per generation on VO3, right?
Yeah,
And they
around
give
that.
you,
That sounds
and
right.
they give you 3. So if you truly took advantage of your VO3 account, allegedly, you were basically break even for them. But no one did. Like I would generate 3, and then I would forget about it for a week, and then I'd come back and generate the max. But it seems like they did figure out how to optimize inference to one order of magnitude, not 2, which we were kind of speculating about.
Yeah, and then there's Sora 2 Pro, which
They could be
is-
subsidizing it though. We
Yeah,
still
I'm
don't know.
sure it's still subsidized to
Sure.
some extent. But then there's Sora 2 Pro, which
Okay.
is like 30 seconds.
That's pretty good.
No, 30 cents per second.
Okay, and it's a little bit longer, right? It can go from like 8 seconds, it can go to like 15 seconds or something in total generation.
Yeah, I think so.
That's pretty cool.
Is it worth reading into the AMD announcement happening the same day as DevDay? You think it just had so much motion that it was just going to get announced as soon as it was ready, or do you think this
I think
was...
there's like multiple tracks going on, and Sam's just pushing both like full tilt. Because last week there was, you know, the NVIDIA deal, the Oracle deal, the Broadcom deal, like all of those things were happening simultaneously with the launch of like GPT-5, Sora, the app. There was another announcement that they launched. Oh, the Pulse app, like the actual like ad inventory, agentic commerce. Like there's just been a new release on the product side every day, and then there's also been a business deal every day. Like we got the Tender deal. Like these things feel like they're not able to time up one next to the other. It doesn't matter. They're just like all flowing really freely. Much like wallet infrastructure for every bank from Privy. Privy makes it easy to build on crypto rails securely, spin up white label wallets, sign transactions, integrate on-chain infrastructure all through one simple API. So my take, and I'd love both of your feedback, was that this feels like something that puts us in like the prosumer world of AI. So right now I view AI as there's the consumer world, which is just you go to ChatGPT, you ask it how to make banana bread, it gives you a recipe. You are not expensing that. You're not underwriting that as some sort of like business value. You're just using it like Google search, knowledge retrieval. Maybe you're chatting with it as a friend or whatever. And that needs to be monetized with ads. That needs to be free over a long period of time. Then you have like enterprise software, the SaaSification of AI. If you have a true business workflow that you are automating, you're probably working with LLMs at the API level, building software, and then potentially selling that software to other people. And so this looks like, you know, I went to, you know, like Ramp got better at tagging receipts, and it's like I didn't even notice. I'm not chatting with anything necessarily. It's just doing stuff behind the scenes because every company is integrating those. My question is, we've heard rumors of like getting to the $2,000 per month bill for OpenAI features. Like, does this agent builder potentially get us there? Do we wind up in a world where, you know, we've seen this before with like when images in ChatGPT launched, everyone generated like a few Studio Ghiblis like the day of, but then 6 months later, it's kind of bifurcated into consumers use it every once in a while as like a fun thing, but then there are professional people that are in it basically all day long as a workflow tool because they're a visual artist and they need it as a canvas to pull from and then edit and create other stuff, or they're doing blog images, or they have a variety of reasons for using that product. And they use it in a professional workplace, basically. And I'm wondering if some of these agentic workflows will have serious inference costs because you're wiring them up and you're saying like, go to GPT-5 Pro every single day and write a GPT-5 Pro query for every single, you know, news item on my to-do list, and then generate a Sora 2 video, weave that in, and you wind up spending like $10 a day or $50 a day, and pretty quickly
Trey in the chat says maybe you aren't expensing banana bread recipes, but I am.
Let's go.
Depends how elite the banana bread is.
Sure, if you're a baker,
amazingly strategic asset.
Yeah, if you're a baker, and so I wonder, like, we are getting to this point where some people are thinking about their OpenAI use. You're underwriting it under some sort of loose business value. You might be expensing it. You're thinking more seriously about this. And I wonder if we'll get to basically consumption-based pricing in like a prosumer type world based on these flows. We see that with the Sora 2 stuff. Right now it's all balanced to be free, but you have a rate limit. I wonder if we'll see the agent builder, if you're really hitting this thing constantly, if they will start charging more for people. I think there's a little bit of like organ rejection from consumers where they're like, I'm much more comfortable just saying I'm paying $200 a month, and maybe I'm using it not enough. Maybe I'm using it, but I want the all-you-can-eat plan. Yeah,
I guess my question for you: do you expect average consumer at any point to be building out a variety of workflows?
No. So I see them as like two like there's multiple markets. For a while we've been modeling OpenAI's business as like they have a consumer product that they're going to try and drive to essentially free with ads, and you will have a ton of features and they will try and deliver you a ton of value. So Sora, the generations are free. You can't pay for anything more in the app.
Also, the apps they launched today, those are very much like consumer
Exactly. And but they'll take a cut on the back end. And so they will monetize very heavily on the consumer side. And then you also have like your hyperscaler cloud platform, your API business that is pure consumption based, selling the API, selling the LLM. But I'm wondering if we will see the development of like something in the middle, something prosumer, something consumption based pop up. Now there is
to be clear, it's this company N8N, which we haven't really followed closely.
We should have the founder on.
But they have seen a ton of growth. They've seen this organic kind of always a good sign when people are selling kind of like courses around how to build a business based around your software product, right? This was Shopify in the early days. And so a lot of the posts this morning are saying OpenAI just killed
N8N.
How do you say this actually, Tyler?
Is it Nathan?
Yeah, I don't know. Usually when I read it, I just think N8N.
Yeah. So may have just proven myself to be a boomer if I'm mispronouncing it. But N8N. We'll see. I don't think these. My framework for OpenAI now is that I just view them as a large tech company, and so every VC and every founder should be asking like, what if OpenAI does this?
Yes.
And even if they do decide to do it, it doesn't mean that you're cooked.
Totally.
Right? Because for a lot of reasons, how many products have big, how many products has Google launched or Meta launched that looked like they were a credible threat to various businesses and then ultimately didn't really go anywhere. So I'm sure that OpenAI is taking agent builders seriously. I'm not sure that it'll be a real threat to Zapier or N8N or anyone else.
Yeah, there's a great internal tech email from 2010 explaining what competition between Facebook and Google looked like at the time. So the abridged history of Google and Facebook, sometime in the summer of 2007, so this is just like 2 years after Facebook launched, Larry Page stopped talking to Mark Zuckerberg. This was following an 8-month period in which Facebook launched Newsfeed, opened registration to everyone, and launched Platform, where you could log in with Facebook across the web. So almost instantly, Facebook was competing with Google for talent, for developer mindshare, and for tech blog cred, kind of like with the precursor to Teapot, I suppose. They began to worry about their ability to enter new markets with us in the game, with Facebook in the game, and about core investments that weren't doing well and that Facebook was positioned to touch. Checkout, Local, Orkut, which is their social network, which is now defunct, I believe. They worried about entrenched products that—
What was it called?
Orkut. ORKUT, which I think was a Brazilian company that they acquired, which I believe it's pronounced Orkut or something like that. I like that. Put a little flair.
We look over at Tyler like he's supposed to be some pronunciation expert at 19.
But yeah, Google was worried about Meta challenging them in entrenched products that Facebook might one day launch: Calendar, Picasa, which was their photos product, YouTube, Blogger, Reader, News, and about the ComScore data telling them that the social networks are bigger than email story. Facebook had the world's people, while Google only had their cookies. So we were better positioned even to own search and ads one day. Oh my. So far, we haven't seen the real competition. And so what's interesting is that it was not a total steamroll by the Meta Facebook team. It was also not a total steamroll by Google. Like Google, I would say, did very well in Calendar. Facebook has not displaced
They really
them at
became
all.
big Calendar.
They did. YouTube did very well. Reader, of course, they canned. Blogger went away. News is still there in search, but I think most people get their news from social networks these days. Picasa, I was talking to Brandon about this. Photos has most people have moved over to just Instagram. Their Instagram page is their main photo album. People do organize photos, but a lot of people do that in Apple. And so there's been a bunch of places where Facebook won. There's been other places where Google was able to hold on. And so I would imagine that the same thing happens where OpenAI challenges the legacy tech companies across the board, and they win some of those, but not all of them.
Yeah. My question is, does releasing Sora 2 via API hurt the chances that Sora as a standalone app actually becomes a social network and a consumption platform?
Yep.
Because the model is clearly great. It does a really good job at making video look like it was shot on a cell phone, right? VO3, very cinematic.
Saw this.
It looks like a Hollywood blockbuster.
It looks like daytime TV, but yes.
Yeah, sure. But it looks like it was shot by legacy Hollywood.
Totally.
And Sora 2 looks like, you're hanging out at the office and you're shooting a video, right? Something like that. And so that model, which until today they had exclusive access to, can now be leveraged by any video creation platform, and there's tons of them. So whether you were Adobe, right, you could get access to Sora 2, or some entry-level startup, right? And so what that means is there's just going to be a lot more of this kind of content being created all around the internet, not in Sora the app. And in my view, that signals to me that they don't really feel like they have a strong opportunity to make Sora a place where a place where content is consumed. Right? I see them seeing this as a creative tool, because if you were like, hey, there's a 30% chance we're going to make a new massive video consumption platform, wouldn't you want to give it every possible chance to be successful? You wouldn't want to let all your enemies have access to this tool, right? You'd give yourself every possible edge. I think you would.
I agree with a lot of that. I have a rebuttal, but first I'm going to tell you about Cognition.
There we
They're the
go.
makers of Devin. Devin is the AI software engineer. Crush your backlog with your personal AI engineering team. So yes, Ben Thompson has always had this good take that why does OpenAI have an API at all? You don't want your GPUs on fire when you have the best consumer AI app. Just make sure that ChatGPT never goes down, that the maximum amount of GPUs are on ChatGPT, so everyone has the greatest experience there, and they never even think to try another consumer chat app, and just let other companies compete in the API space. You're kind of arguing the same idea for Sora. What's also interesting is that I noticed that when I was using Sora, I would generate stuff, but I wouldn't post it. I felt like I wanted to see it, and then I was like, it's not quite right, or I don't feel comfortable sharing that, or maybe I'll download it or screen record it or something. Whereas I feel like in the early days of Instagram, people would definitely go to Instagram as like, I want to filter my photos. I want to make my photos look better. And then they would always post. And I bet you that the creation to post ratio is way lower with Sora than it was in the early days of Instagram. I feel like if people went into Instagram and they were like, I want to add a high contrast X Pro 2 filter, like 99% of the time they would just click like, yep, share it, and then I'll download it and put it on Twitter as well or something. But they would almost always share it. And so Instagram was incredibly valuable for bootstrapping that network because everything was shared to the network by default. And I feel like on Sora, people are much more hesitant to actually click, okay, yeah, let's post. I don't know. What do you think?
I don't know. I think by the time Instagram actually became a place that a lot of your friends were, people were less people became more serious about, oh, should I post this? I don't know if my followers will like this. I'm not going to post it.
But would they do that with? But would they filter it and then
possibly
and then just save it and share it somewhere else? I never experienced that personally. It was like if I'm going in there, maybe I don't post it at all, but I'm not just using it as like a creation tool for something else.
Yeah.
Like there were apps. There was a company called Aviary that was an API for photo filtering that would go into other apps. They eventually sold to Adobe, I believe. And there were a few different. Yeah, we talked to somebody about this. There were like those API level companies that offered the same functionality as Instagram, but didn't bootstrap the social network on the back of it. And Hipstamatic was another one where it had technically, I think, better photo filtering. Like people liked the look of the photos more, but Hipstamatic, Aviary, these companies didn't bootstrap a social network on the back, and so they wound up being valued like medium-sized SaaS companies as opposed to social networks, and they never really compounded. So I agree that it's a little odd to not force everything that's generated in Sora to just automatically be shared on Sora, on the app, because it feels like if you can just continually have every Sora generation in the feed, you can rank those, like you can have a very powerful
have a catalog of content that people like, and it also feeds your... Yeah. It feeds it's going to continuously help you make the model better.
Yeah.
Right?
I also wonder if they'd open it up to human-generated content. Like, why not?
I don't think that OpenAI needs another front in the war, right? It's hard enough competing. It's hard enough competing with Google, right? You clearly, to compete with Google, you have to do a number of just absolutely heinous deals, right? You got to be doing deals with Broadcom.
Yep.
You got to be doing deals with Oracle. You got to be doing deals with AMD. You got to just be doing these deals that are pretty unprecedented, at least for the in the modern era. So they don't need to open a new front, in my view.
I do feel like it's just a new angle on the creativity. If you could have Sora, but with like a CapCut style or edit style video editing that goes into it, so you could have like, if you just want to maximize for like the maximum amount of creativity, being able to inject an actual screen recording of a movie clip and then a Sora clip and then your actual video that you recorded and then bring in some more Sora, like editing all that together, it's just going to be better content.
We need to talk about how dating advice is still top 5
No way.
free app on the App Store.
Even after the hack, it's
Like,
still ripping.
It's above TikTok, it's above Google, it's above X, it's above WhatsApp.
I thought Sora
it's above Instagram. And obviously,
I thought
again,
Sora and ChatGPT were
it
number
only
one and number
counts
two.
first-time downloads. But yeah, Sora is number 1. But I'm just saying, if you look at the top 5, it's Sora, ChatGPT, Gemini, Threads,
And then T.
Shout out to Connor Hayes for getting Threads back in the top 5.
We love it. We love it. Also, shout out to Dylan Field over at Figma, doing a deal with OpenAI, getting the shout out in DevDay. Think bigger, build faster. Figma helps design and development teams build great products together. You can get started for free. Tyler, do you understand this post from Leo who says new image model is just GPT image 1 mini LMAO? It's so over. On the API docs? What is going on here?
So I think it was like one of those cases where someone just found like the link to the PNG that's like hosted on the site, and like it's not released yet.
Okay.
So there's like no information about this at all. They didn't talk about it at DevDay, I'm pretty sure. So
yeah,
this is kind of.
I don't really know that people are being comped to this. Like, it feels like most of the excitement about the agent mode or agent builder is like images would be like a small piece of that. Because yes, every once in a while in an agentic workflow, you'd want to generate an image, but I do wonder how open it will be. Like, would it be possible within the agent builder to vend in a different LLM? Like, are they going to be model agnostic at some point? Like, from a true model builder, you might want to be able to like call Claude Code over here and then use some other image generator. You want to get a Midjourney image over here. You want to go over there, pull different things together.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you kind of have to, because otherwise it's like, then as a consumer, I'm just going to go use N8N or
something that's on top of all of them.
Yeah, because if I'm just being limited, then why use it? So
yeah. Well, High Yield Harry is not happy with all the deals that are happening. He posted on September 22nd explaining the NVIDIA and OpenAI deal to our analysts, and it's the screen cap from what is that? Detective movie? Detective HBO? True Detective. And he's getting hammered. And now he says, I'm entering my Michael Burry era. These deal structures are .com bubble things. Keep dancing now, but come on, guys. Be real about what's going to happen here. There's a lot of people that are not happy with how crazy these deals are. Sven Henrik says,
since nobody is saying it, Sven will. He says, we're witnessing the largest and most concentrated instant market cap expansions in history with no proven future revenue cost earnings model to back up the investments or the valuations. The market is running on an incredible amount of blind faith. Let's give it up for blind faith.
There's not enough of that.
How it ends, TBD. One certainty, though, when it eventually does blow up, everyone will be asking the Fed to come to the rescue again.
Get too big to fail.
The only thing I would push back on is like a lot of people. It's it's
the first line.
contrarian. It's
Nobody
contrarian.
is saying it. Everyone's saying it.
It's
Everyone's saying
contrarian, actually, at this point to say like, no, this is good and healthy and
Yeah.
natural.
No. Like the people that are still super AGI pilled, just like super beating the drum of like the value is there. Look at the revenue growth. All this stuff is real. It merits the build out because we're going to see 10x gains again and again and again. It's
Yeah,
not
let's
slowing
pull up
down.
this video of let's pull up who's at the X Games, Stephen Hawking at the X Games. Should we pull?
Can we
up?
pull up Stephen Hawking at the X Games?
Because
Oh, you
this
guys haven't pulled up
if
already.
You
Thank
watch,
you.
If you watch this video and then say to me, I don't think Sam
Trillions.
I don't think Sam Altman should get another trillion. I don't know what to tell you.
This is so sick.
Wow, so
That's
clean.
perfect.
No.
Oh no, the physics. Tyler over there, this is going to be critical to building humanoid robotics. This is a physics simulator. This is a world model. The physics don't make sense there. Like that's not how that would happen.
The next iteration, I swear, Sora 3,
Just
it's
one
gonna
more prompt.
just scale up a little bit more, bro, please.
Oh yeah, on Friday we posted. We posted an
another
example
5
of,
trillion, please.
Yeah, we posted an example of a video that we shot versus, and then I had Tyler try and recreate it with Sora and the other video models, and Tyler kept texting me like, "Dude, just one more prompt. Like I'm so close, I can get it there." And it was like not very close.
The hand.
The hands were very creepy. Your naked foot snuck in somehow.
Yeah,
I
I don't know what
there.
the training
foot
data
pic?
was.
It was odd. Ugh. Yeah, lots of weird stuff. It seems like it's very good for like, again, we're in that like style transfer. It works well when it's like there's a ton of footage of police body cams and then there's a ton of footage of SpongeBob and you put SpongeBob in the police body cam and it knows how to mash those two up. But if you come to it with just some completely new idea that it doesn't have a lot of training data on, you're going to be fighting the prompt for a long, long time. Now, those mashups are valuable. Like they get views, people find them enjoyable, and there are some that are very funny. But it is a challenge to create anything that's like kind of novel or new. But there's still a lot of room.
Sachi Mishal says this OpenAI AMD deal feels like a jump the shark moment. The deal structure is just so stupidly unbelievable. Well, I'll tell you something believable. If I was walking around a farmer's market, John, and I walk by a stand and I think, I don't really like what this guy's got. I don't really want it. But then I think to myself, what could I do in this moment to make purchasing some of these vegetables interesting to me? And so I go to the farmer and I say, how about you give me 30% of your business and I'll buy some of your vegetables? And I actually should get more equity value in your business than I need to pay for the vegetables.
What did
Then
I actually say about
that seems like a deal that might get done. And to me, that feels a little bit like what we're seeing here today with OpenAI and AMD.
Yeah, what did I actually say? Oh, you were saying like did I call these like circular deals efficient, more efficient, or something like that? I said lots of people are throwing up red flags about these. This was on September 29th. Or 23rd. High growth companies have been paying for things with equity, in this case chips, forever, most commonly with talent, but occasionally with other counterparties. The open question is that couldn't this deal be more arm's length pretty easily? NVIDIA's biggest shareholders are Vanguard, BlackRock, Fidelity, and State Street. There's a world where NVIDIA takes the cash it has on hand, pays a dividend, and then those investors take their money and invest in OpenAI. That would be the natural flow of capital in normal times, but NVIDIA thinks there are benefits to inking a longer-term partnership. OpenAI looks highly likely to join the ranks of the hyperscalers, and Microsoft, Amazon, and Google are all working on AI chips that could cut NVIDIA out of the equation long-term. So NVIDIA gets a fantastic long-term partner with OpenAI, who will be committed to buying an accelerated schedule of AI accelerator purchases, and OpenAI gets a deep partnership with arguably the best GPU design team in history. And so it's interesting that like, and the NVIDIA deal, the read on the NVIDIA deal was like, oh, this is NVIDIA finding like its true long-term dance partner, where in a world where Google is going TPU, Microsoft is going to do their own thing, Amazon's doing their own thing in chips, cutting out NVIDIA. There's like some real risks to NVIDIA long-term potentially, and so.
Sure.
And so NVIDIA is like locking up a partnership with OpenAI, but then OpenAI is going around and being like, but we're also going to do
I think one
custom,
thing that
like-
everyone's learning about Sam is you never really lock down Sam, right?
Yeah,
You had obviously Satya and Sam were dancing. They're still dancing, through the existing partnership that they have. But certainly, Sam is willing to go find the incremental partner. And it's interesting that the AMD and NVIDIA deals just happened so closely together. Right?
Yeah.
And NVIDIA felt crazy. AMD feels crazier just because, again, it's not like these are Sam's first picks for GPUs, right? Yep.
Well, you can't lock down Sam, but you can lock down your compliance. With Vanta, automate compliance, manage risk, and improve trust continuously. Vanta's trust management platform takes the manual work out of your security and compliance process and replaces it with continuous automation.
Let's go.
We should read through the actual deal of the OpenAI AMD reporting in the
Are you saying we should get into the facts?
We should get into the facts. The 5-year agreement, it will challenge NVIDIA's market dominance as OpenAI plans deployment of AMD's new MI450 chips. And the announcement from Sam mentioned NVIDIA more than AMD, which some people were reading into, like maybe you want to keep NVIDIA happy. The big question for me is there an OpenAI Intel deal coming at some point? Because Intel's been looking for a buyer, been looking for a reason to spin up the new fab in America.
Sam needs to figure out some way. The deal that I could imagine is Trump makes an investment in OpenAI. OpenAI then has to spend off of Uncle Sam's balance sheet.
Yep.
OpenAI then has to spend some amount of that on with Intel.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised.
And Sam figures out a way to get some warrants in Intel too.
Yeah, I mean, there's certainly a lot of energy around like there are like the United States government is pushing Intel. There's a desire to reshore manufacturing, reshore chip manufacturing. And if you can be part of that story, you should be a beneficiary. You should win points, score points in Washington. And so doing something there, I wouldn't be surprised if we see it in the next couple of weeks. It just feels like Sam is really knocking down partnerships with every major counterparty. And so why not Intel as well? The Wall Street Journal has the story, OpenAI and chip designer Advanced Micro Devices. They don't name companies like that anymore.
You don't know how to.
AMD announced a multi-billion-dollar partnership to collaborate on AI data centers that will run on AMD processors, one of the most direct challenges yet to industry leader NVIDIA. Under the terms of the deal, OpenAI committed to purchasing 6 gigawatts worth of AMD chips.
It is cool that we're now just referring to GPU orders based on their energy demands.
It's pretty sick. Starting with the MI450 chip next year, the ChatGPT maker will buy the chips either directly or through its cloud computing partners. So it could go through Oracle. That's not that crazy.
Well, it is if it's not actually OpenAI putting up. Does this mean that OpenAI doesn't have to, if one of they can be like,
yeah,
look,
the CapEx might not live on their balance sheet.
Exactly.
Because they might go to a NeoCloud or they might go to Oracle and they might say, you own the data center and we will set up a contract to lease against that because we want to model this business as OpEx because we are a software company on top of the hardware.
Yeah.
It's not the craziest thing. It doesn't, I mean, there's plenty of big tech companies. I believe Netflix, Snapchat, there's a whole bunch that are like built on top of other cloud platforms, but they have such large contracts that Google can say, oh, well, like you're going to be with us for a decade. You're going to be spending hundreds of millions of dollars. We're going to go build a new data center for you. And we're going to own that CapEx because we're super huge and liquid. And we can afford this. So AMD chief Lisa Su said in an interview on Sunday that the deal will result in tens of billions of dollars in new revenue for the chip company over the next half decade. The two companies didn't disclose the plan's overall expected cost, but AMD said it costs tens of billions of dollars per gigawatt of computing capacity. So we're looking at almost $100 billion deal, which is probably why the market cap popped by a commensurate amount. OpenAI will receive warrants for up to 160 million AMD shares, roughly 10% of the chip company, at 1 cent per share, awarded in phases if OpenAI hits certain milestones for deployment. AMD's stock price is also has to increase for the warrants to be exercised. The shares opened 33% higher Monday morning. The deal is AMD's biggest win in its quest to disrupt NVIDIA's dominance among AI semiconductor companies. AMD processors are widely used for gaming in personal computers and in traditional data center servers, but it hasn't made much of a dent in the fast-growing market for the pricier supercomputing chips needed by advanced AI systems. Quickly, let me tell you about Graphite Code Review for the age of AI. Graphite helps teams on GitHub ship higher quality software faster.
There are billboards going viral again today.
It is?
Just the exact same post again.
Remarkable.
I think this time it was like, I'm in San Francisco, I hate it here.
Oh, really? It's like
Going viral
negative, but it's
again.
still going viral.
We love it there.
Well, if you want to run a billboard campaign, get on adquick.com. Out-of-home advertising made easy and measurable. Say goodbye to the headaches of out-of-home advertising. Only AdQuick combines technology, out-of-home expertise, and data to enable efficient, seamless ad buying across the globe. AMD plans to use the chips or OpenAI plans to use the AMD chips for inference functions, or the computations that allow AI applications such as chatbots to respond to user queries. Maybe that's easier for them to deal with. They train on NVIDIA, but then inference on AMD. Maybe there's something there. I mean, the models are so stable. There was a new indication or kind of like leak that GPT-5 is still running on the 4 pre-train. So there will at some point be a new huge pre-train. 4.5 was supposed to be that. They haven't really done that yet, but there's a world where GPT-4, that pre-trained model, I mean, I'm sure they've done other things to it, but generally that is mature enough that if you can just go and optimize it and ship it off to different chips, maybe it runs fast. Maybe it's a huge lift to get it out of the CUDA ecosystem and over to AMD, but certainly AMD wants to make it happen, and OpenAI wants to make it happen. So
maybe Codex can do it.
Maybe Codex can do it. We don't know. I think that it's it could be like $100 million project to re-platform it, but it's totally worth it when you're running inference for 800 million weekly active users. So I don't know. It's hard to overstate how difficult it's become to get enough computing power, Altman said. We want it super fast, but it takes some time. The two CEOs said the deal will tie their companies together and give them incentives to commit to the AI infrastructure boom. It's a win for both of our companies, and I'm glad that OpenAI's incentives are tied to AMD's success and vice versa. He's such a good investment banker. Get him on Wall Street. NVIDIA remains the preferred chip supplier among AI companies, but it's also facing competition from almost every corner of the market. Cloud giants such as Google and Amazon design and sell their own chips. OpenAI recently signed a $100 billion deal with Broadcom to build its own in-house chip.
No, $10 billion.
$10 billion. Yeah, $10 billion deal with
Easy
Broadcom.
to add an extra zero these days, but we got.
Well, if you want to manage your zeros properly, get on Julius.ai. What analysis do you want to run? Chat with your data and get expert level insights. It's the AI data analyst that works for you, and it's more reliable than me when it comes to getting the numbers right.
And apparently Copilot in Excel. We saw that post earlier today.
Yeah.
Somebody using Copilot in Excel to add a handful of numbers.
1, 2, and 3 specifically.
And what did
Tyler, what's
spit
1
out?
plus 2 plus 3? Sum those numbers.
Let me think.
Well, Copilot said 15.
Yeah. So just try to get that close if you can.
As long as you're with
With numbers, you just got to get close.
What do you think it is?
I'm going with 6.
Let's go. Nailed it. Human
6.
intelligence
Wow.
undefeated.
Underrated.
Good
Organic
morning, Nat.
intelligence.
How you doing in the chat? Good to see you. Good day.
Great to see you.
OpenAI is going to begin with 1 gigawatt worth of MI 450 chips starting in the second half of next year to run its AI models. That's a
Just
lot.
put the chips in the bag.
We are just throwing around gigawatts now. I really want to know how deep this goes.
We gotta ask Doug. He's joining in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
What kind of deals Sam is going to start doing on the energy side?
I was asking him about that.
Because he has his
nuclear
he has a
plant,
nuclear
Oklo.
company, Oklo.
He also has he has a fission company, Oklo, and then he has a fusion company. What's that one called? It's the Yeah,
Oklo's only up like 550% in the past 6 months.
Just wait until they ink $100 billion deal with OpenAI. Like, it could happen. I mean, like, it's one of those things where it's like, if they build that energy, OpenAI would buy it. So it makes sense. These are all just like sort of like mutual agreements to jump across the threshold together. If
mutual agreement to jump sharks.
To jump sharks. I don't know. It's dangerous to be bearish prematurely. Like you never know how big these things can get. It could continue run. We could be stuck in January of 1999 for the next 5 years, for all we know.
Yeah, you never know.
In late September, NVIDIA announced that it would invest $100 billion in OpenAI over the next decade. Under the terms of the circular arrangement, OpenAI plans to use the cash from NVIDIA to buy NVIDIA chips and deploy up to 10 gigawatts of computing power in AI data centers. The deal highlighted how the market's seemingly endless enthusiasm for NVIDIA stock is providing a financial backstop for the entire AI market. The NVIDIA deal isn't completed. The two companies have signed a letter of intent and have yet to disclose specific terms in a regulatory filing. Wow, what a time to be alive. OpenAI and AMD described Monday's announcement as definitive and plan to immediately file details with security regulators. Su told investors in a call Monday morning that the deal was a clear validation of our technology roadmap that would give AMD tens of billions of dollars of revenue by 2027. When asked
We
about
just
the
have
unique
to
warrant
give
structure, Su
we're
called it pretty
going to
innovative.
get a lot of revenue.
I wouldn't say it came lightly.
We just have to give a huge amount of the company away
Yeah.
in order to capture that revenue.
Yeah, what's the headline number here? It's $100 billion, $10 billion to Broadcom, $100 billion to NVIDIA, and $300 billion to Oracle.
20 billion-ish to CoreWeave as well.
Wait, so Tyler, they're saying 6 billion or 6 gigawatts, not billion gigawatts, 6 gigawatts of AMD chips. Can you estimate the dollar value of that if it's MI 450 equivalents?
I think I think on the Invest Like the Best with Don't Tell, he said it's like around 50 billion per gigawatt.
50 billion per gigawatt?
Yeah.
Wait, so this is
no,
like a $400 billion deal?
I think. Wait, that's totally wrong.
Okay, yeah. I want to know like what is the energy use of a single MI 450, and then divide that by 6 gigawatts to get me like how many chips are they going to buy, and then what's the price of the chip? So multiply that. That's what I want to know. In the meantime, let me tell you about Fall, the generative media platform for developers. The world's best generative image, video, and audio models all in one place. Develop and fine-tune with serverless GPUs and on-demand clusters.
Let's go.
There's so much in this article.
Should we get
It's
into
so
this
crazy. We should just skip to
XAI
something
coverage?
else. Yes, sure. Elon Musk gambles billions in Memphis to catch up on AI. I don't know why this is a story. It's mere billions. If we're not in the hundreds of billions, like what are we doing? This is pennies.
The Journal has reporting XAI aims to win tech arms race with Colossus data centers thrown up at lightning speed. City is divided over massive power and water demands. For Elon Musk, ground zero of the AI arms race is a 114-acre tract of grass and swamp on the state line of Tennessee and Mississippi. This once sleepy plot of land filled with groves of water-rooted tupelo trees at its western edge is now part of a growing empire Musk is accumulating in the Deep South, just a few miles from Elvis Presley's homestead at Graceland.
Nice.
Labor crews hired by Musk XAI were excavating power equipment on the site, a defunct energy plant just over the state line in Mississippi, and preparing to build a new plant capable of generating over a gigawatt of electricity, enough to power around 800,000 homes. Mm-hmm. Engineering permits show that Musk plans to route transmission lines that will connect the new power plant to a 1 million square foot data center that is also under development just north of the border in Tennessee. Memphis is the front line of Musk's costly foray into the AI wars. His AI company, XAI, has already built one massive data center here in the Bluff City that it calls the world's largest supercomputer. That facility, called Colossus, houses over 200,000 NVIDIA chips and powers the technology behind the AI chatbot Grok. Now, Musk is close to finishing the second facility, which will be even bigger. He calls it Colossus 2. The AI arms race is shaping up as the most expensive corporate battle of the 21st century. Let's give it up for expensive corporate battles. Can I get the horn, Nick, please? With the belief that the first to the finish line will dominate the market, making speed crucial. Money also makes a difference. The more cutting-edge chips companies have, the smarter their models are. But at this stage, it's unclear if or when the enormous investments will pay off. Technology companies that are splashing out to hire AI talent are writing even bigger checks to build the infrastructure needed to power cutting-edge AI models. Morgan Stanley estimates companies will spend over $3 trillion on AI infrastructure through 2028. Wow. What do you got, John?
I have a more recent benchmark for all of the different AI models to let you know where Grok sits relative to the other frontier models. ChatGPT 5 Pro.
Bench? Viral bench?
Viral bench. Claude, Sonnet 4.5, the latest and greatest. Gemini 2.5 Pro, and of course, Grok Expert mode. So I will read you. My prompt for all 4 of these models was write an X post that gets me over 1,000 likes. My account is at John Coogan. And ChatGPT 5 Pro said, NVIDIA isn't a chip company, it's supply chain choreography. The scarce assets now, HBM, advanced packaging, power, and high bandwidth networking. If your AI thesis ignores those, you're playing checkers on a Go board. Not bad.
I think you'd get like 40 likes on that. 40?
Okay. Claude Sonnet 4.5. says, everyone's focused on which AI lab will win AGI. The real question, who wins the infrastructure layer? NVIDIA is printing money now, but the company that figures out inference at scale will be worth more than all the model companies combined, which is hilarious.
Just like a hot take.
It's kind of a hot take that's anti-anthropic, I suppose. Who knows? Maybe they're working on this. Gemini 2.5 Pro says, the biggest hurdle isn't starting, it's the biggest hurdle to starting isn't the idea. It's not the capital. It's not the competition. It's the unshakable fear of looking stupid for the first 6 months. So that's what Gemini 2.5 Pro thinks is a banger. And then we have Grok Expert. And this, remember, this model was trained on X data. It should know what works. It knows. It has the entire corpus of every tweet, every post on X. And here's what it said. Would go viral and get over 1,000 likes. It says, this is from my account, at John Coogan. October hits and suddenly I'm craving pumpkin everything, binge watching horror movies and planning the ultimate costume. Who's with me on turning this month into pure spooky magic? Drop your fave Halloween ideas below. Hashtag spooky season, hashtag Halloween 2025, hashtag October vibes with 3 emojis. And I think we know who wins. Like, Grok is clearly fun.
Genuinely hilarious.
It's genuinely hilarious.
I think it knows.
It's self-aware. It's
totally self-aware. It knows that it knows that it might not be able to create the perfect zinger, but it knows it can do such a throwback that we will find it absolutely hilarious.
Yes. Like, if
that
I had
feels
to
like
post
something
one of those,
like John Cena would post in like 2011.
Totally. And so if I had to post one of those, I would definitely go with the Grok post because it's hilarious. People would post it. And people would be laughing.
You never posted the
I didn't post the other one about Lewis.
You should just post all 4 and then see which, like, actually do the benchmark.
I should. I will. Maybe I'll prompt it again and then do it again. But the pure spooky magic goes pretty hard. I like it. I think it's worth 10 trillion in capex to get these bangers.
All right. Well, I want to ask Doug about what XAI has to do to actually get back in the game.
I want to ask him what AI is. What is this AI?
Well, this Colossus and Colossus 2 are incredible feats of engineering.
Yeah.
Yet
and what's the asset value? I do wonder. Like, it seems like if they don't get product market fit on the consumer layer. Is there a world where Colossus 2 is just an incredibly valuable asset that can be sold to a different firm or something? Anyway, we have our next guest, our first guest, Doug O'Loughlin, in the Restream waiting room. Let's bring him into the TBPN Ultradome. Doug, how are you doing? Good to see you.
Good to see you too, guys. How y'all doing?
Doing fantastic.
Great to see you.
What a day! What have your immediate reactions been to the AMD news? Was this on your bingo card for this year?
Yeah. Did you see the person that bought like 6 million of AMD calls like on Friday too?
Was that you?
Hopefully not.
I wish.
Hopefully
I wish.
not.
That's not me. I would be in super big trouble. So that's definitely not. So I'm actually going to talk more than just AMD specifically.
Please.
The thing I think is really funny is that, like, look at all the announcements, man. I have a very pet theory. It's kind of lame theory if you think about it. But I think OpenAI is just trying to have everyone involved, like NVIDIA, AMD, SK Hynix, the entire memory chain, all the hyperscalers, and effectively, like, it's everyone's problem now. Everyone is all vested interest in essentially OpenAI.
Yeah, he's making himself too big to fail.
Exactly. That's the right way.
There's a world in the future where OpenAI needs effectively a bridge round, and he can go to a bunch of different people with big balance sheets and say, like, if you guys don't pony up, like, we're all going down.
Exactly. That's the plan, man. Essentially, have you ever heard this phrase like, it's like if you owe the bank $100, that's your problem. But if you owe the bank $1 billion, it's the bank's problem.
Yep.
That's essentially what's going down, I think. So we're seeing like partnerships everywhere. It's kind of a crazy, time.
Yeah. What's your take on people like overfitting to the .com boom and the WorldCom story? Do you think that's like overwrought at this point, or are there actually good analogies now that we're in like an infrastructure boom? It's not just valuations, because we've had bubbles in like software, private markets, venture capital before, and those seem to have worked their way through so easily because it's just, some fund that needs to like wind this investment down over a 10-year life cycle. And it's such a small part of the economy, even though the numbers
Retail never
feel
touched
big.
it.
It's like,
there wasn't a lot of debt.
Yeah, like Clubhouse was like $600 million, which is just like nothing compared to the global. Who cares?
Yeah, and
right?
there was a post that went super viral. It was a screenshot that was tracking like the NASDAQ in the .com era to the NASDAQ today, and it like lined up absolutely perfectly. And then it turns out it was just completely fake news. Like we tried to recreate it a bunch of different ways. There's somebody like basically committed a chart crime.
Yeah.
And it went super viral, and everybody's like, wow, it looks exactly, it tracks exactly.
You can't do that, man. It never works. Let's just put it this way. It never works. I have a post. I just, one, I wrote about the 2000s telecom bubble.
Sure.
And two, I just wrote something that was mostly behind a paywall, but like you could just look at the cover image and it's just like, you are here. It's like the first interest rate cut was in 1998 in September. And I think that's probably our best analog. Like, I think that's probably the best one-to-one analog, which means it gets a lot crazier from here.
Yep.
That's my belief, at least. So if we look back to 2000, all the analogies and eras back then, I think the one that is kind of scary and worrying is like the vendor financing. Like that's a lot of capital for your vendor to be putting up, and that's a little scary. Like I think it's getting a little circular, but like it's definitely not tech bubble crazy, because the valuation would have to be a 2x from here. That's kind of the thing that's like a little different. And I think the other thing that's also kind of interesting is like last time you could argue the entire tech bubble was kind of very focused and concentrated on like a very small amount of unprofitable companies that really didn't impact the economy when they all went bankrupt.
Yep.
The difference is today, who's the primary participants? It's the 7 largest companies in the entire world. So that's kind of the thing, the push and take here that I think is really interesting. And now, given what we've publicly heard with the CapEx announcements, it's going to be a lot of capital to get from here to there. And I think it's going to be interesting, man. But honestly, if you look at everyone's balance sheet, no one's levered. That's the thing that I think is really interesting. Yeah. No one is levered at all, and like that's the next leg.
Yep, that's the next leg.
I was giving a sort of a hypothetical example around the AMD deal to John, and tell me if this is just stupid or too simple. But I'm walking around a farmer's market. I see a stand. A farmer's selling some vegetables. I'm not that interested in the vegetables, but then I think, what would make me interested in this situation? Well, and then I say to the farmer, how about you give me 30% of your company and then I'll buy some vegetables? Is that at all track with this deal?
Yeah, I think it's
suddenly I'm interested. If I can get 10% of your company, I'm interested in being a customer.
Yeah, I think it's also I want to highlight something that's really interesting. Is look at the different deals between AMD and NVIDIA. NVIDIA, you essentially have to, they're like, okay, well, please do an investment in us so we can keep buying your chips.
Yep.
And then the vice versa, AMD is like, no, you must invest in us, so please buy our chips.
Yep.
Like that's the discount and the premium if you think about it, right? Like NVIDIA, you get the premium because it's a better chip, higher gross margin. They're like, you're getting so much of our money, you might as well just be an investor.
Sure.
And then on AMD's side, it's like, dude, you gotta, we don't want this. So like give us something in return.
Can you take me through? Yeah, can you take me through kind of the view on AMD generally over the past year? I know that semi-analysis was pretty crucial. George Hotz was talking about some like bugs that were in the actual like just trying to run large models on AMD chips was not going well. Your team was pretty integral in that. It seems like they're moving pretty aggressively to try and catch up. Is that gated by money? Like, what's the recent history of AMD in terms of like getting back in the game materially?
So I do think they're much more competitive than they have been in a long time.
Yeah.
Our team's definitely been working. Watch for some stuff from semi-analysis soon. TM, I can't say anything more.
Go subscribe.
But we're definitely continuing to do some work in the space. I think look, on the smaller models, on the inference side, it seems like there's not a lot of differentiation, but on the bigger, extremely large world size, there is. So GB200 still law of the land, but the Helios 450 rack, which is going to be this next generation, we're a lot more excited about, mostly because they get the ginormous discount of the equity. It's just kind of an insane thing what they've done, man. Like it's such a big amount of the equity possibly on those penny warrants. Like, I mean, it's kind of crazy. It's like, hey, you buy $40 billion of product, you get $20 billion $20 billion investment for free. Like it's kind of this crazy, like buy one, get one deal. So, I mean, I think that's, I think they have a chance. They have a fighting chance.
The other thing that was interesting is it feels like OpenAI can have various partners by AMD chips, but then OpenAI gets to get to count that towards purchases themselves.
In the Wall Street Journal article, they made it look like if Oracle buys a bunch of AMD chips for a data center, that OpenAI gets to exercise its warrants. OpenAI gets to exercise the warrants, and those count towards AMD purchases, basically, even if it's not on OpenAI's balance sheet.
Yeah, pretty much. I think the way to think about it is it's an OpenAI infrastructure bet. Everyone who is in the OpenAI sphere, it counts. They're just trying to get the most money, the most power, the most pull into it, so that essentially, they're kind of creating gravity. Everything comes to them. Honestly, there's like a really good analogy. In 2020, NVIDIA bought like 5x more capacity than everyone else at TSMC, and so there was no room for anyone to compete. Kind of the same thing. They're taking all of the oxygen out of the room for anyone else that isn't named OpenAI.
What do you think about this? I feel like I heard this on Transistor Radio recently that GPT-5 is still potentially running kind of like GPT-4 class model under the hood, doing a bunch of test time inference on top of it to get you a better reasoning model. But like the core architecture actually hasn't shifted that much. So does that make it easier to port that model to AMD? Like, what is the actual barrier? We've heard about the CUDA moat, but is it something where like you can underwrite $100 million of new kernel writing to run on AMD, even though it's a huge hassle, but it's because you're still amortizing that original training run that you did on NVIDIA to inference it on AMD going forward with this new deal? Is there something where the pre-train is stabilizing to the point where porting to a new architecture is more justifiable?
I think that feels like a stretch, honestly.
Okay.
I wouldn't know one-to-one on this one. Like, if this was a world with no reasoning, then I would say yes, definitely yes, right? But I think reasoning really does change the game, and how you orchestrate these larger and larger context size windows and then multi-nodes, because that's a really hard game too. It's like multi-node reasoning or multi-node inference is very, very challenging. And so I don't think you get a perfect one-to-one, but like, let's also be clear, AMD has caught up quite a bit in the last year.
Yeah.
Like it's a big difference. And like, I think it's enough to maybe take a bet. And like, you got to also think about the bigger context here. We're talking like what? $20 billion of revenue, mostly 2027 story. It's kind of peanuts compared to the numbers that we're actually talking about from everyone else. They're still fourth place. Let's be clear. Like this is commitment, and I think you can see maybe a little bit momentum and inertia, but they're still in fourth place.
Fourth place with NVIDIA TPU and Trainium above them?
Yeah, even Trainium.
Even Trainium is above them. Interesting. How are people thinking about actually valuing OpenAI at this point? It feels like you have all these like circular. If I was trying to build a DCF for OpenAI to underwrite, investment at $500 billion, it's like, okay, well now I own parts of AMD, so I need to build a full DCF of that. But AMD is linked to OpenAI, and I have all these like circular transactions.
Refs.
Are investors like grappling with this, or is it all just like vibe-based investing? What you've seen?
I think it's a little bit of vibe-based investing. I think
Okay.
the real play here is TAM is big. It's
Yep.
really, really big, and it's going to be a lot bigger.
Yep.
I think the other thing that's really interesting is some of the agentic purchasing can really unlock very, very, very large parts of the economy that previously you could argue they had nothing in.
Yep.
Right? If you're talking about like, the partners they had available today, for example, Booking.com,
Yep.
TripAdvisor, we can be talking about and this is like some 2021 math, right? But like 1% of all travel,
Yeah.
1% of all groceries, 1% of everything, and you're
Yeah.
like, that's a big number. That's a really big number.
Yeah.
And that's going to be rev. So I think that's literally the plan. I mean, they're trying to become the super app, and that means that they're going to be integrated with everything. And you saw on the partnerships they had, they try to integrate as much as possible with every player of the stack. And so I think this agentic purchase push is going to, if we start to see revenue from it soon, which I think they're definitely shooting for, we'll kind of open up the TAM story and start to monetize the free users, because there's really only like 100 million paid users. It's not that much, but there's hundreds of millions of free users.
Yeah.
And we're talking about a personalized assistant who could plan for you. You could do something crazy as like, hey, I need I thought I lost my travel bag or something. So I was like, hey, I need a small dop kit for on the go for everything. Could you just make a travel size and order it and get it to my house tomorrow? That seems very like, it feels like science fiction, but that is very much in like the next 12 months. And so, hey, 1 to 3% of that transaction, that's a lot of money. And I think that's the real way forward. It's becoming so integral into everything that everyone has a vested stake in you.
Yep.
So the AMD order in the fullness of time is around 6 gigawatts. Where do you expect that energy to come from? Do you expect Sam to start doing crazy deals like this on the energy side? He's already has Oklo, which is just up.
He's not
already.
Chairman anymore. He had to step down.
Yeah,
Did you notice that?
But I knew he wasn't direct. I mean, I'm assuming he's a major shareholder still. But so that's kind of one angle. But where's the power going to come from?
Dude, that's a $1 trillion question. I feel like definitely there's a lot of ways to.
But it's an important one, right? If you're trying to underwrite and say this is real, at least for AMD. It's like, okay, well, how real can it be if there's,
Dude, it's okay.
If we can't plug them in,
there's a lot of ways. Okay, so let's first talk about like the grid is actually not built for 100% production. So there's a lot of slack in the grid itself because it's actually built for the highest day and the lowest day. Mm-hmm. It's built to like have a 99% margin rate, confidence interval on the absolute high and the absolute low. So the peak of the power. Mm-hmm. And so generation throughout an average day is at a much lower utilization than 100%. Mm-hmm. So I think the real reason and something you're going to start to see is that people are going to essentially the grid is going to kind of start to become a lot more fragmented, and there's gonna be a lot of behind the meter power generation that happens at the data center. And so in that case, what you do is you'd sip from the grid, meaning that you can use the grid when the grid is not totally utilized. When it isn't, you're doing gas gen on site. That's probably the thing that is it's gonna be huge. It's gonna be huge. Like natural gas, energy consumption is just gonna go through the roof. So that's gonna be like the big driver, I think, to get these data centers online. I think it's gonna take a lot of time, and also we're seeing like grids breaking right now. Like grids are not keeping up, and that's kind of been. I think it's gonna be a big story in 2026. But I also think that that's where we're gonna see international purchases too, just because like we're running out of power in the United States. I mean, I think what's also interesting is like even though we say we're running out of power. When you have this big demand response, supply comes out of the woodwork. So we're starting to see stuff like gas gen, gas turbines, like all these different like little clever pockets of energy are coming up to then fulfill the need. I expect that to continue. Effectively, if you have enough demand, supply will find a way.
Yeah,
that feels like
people
the
remember.
next. That definitely feels like the next wave here is we're going to see $100 billion deal for a new Hoover Dam and more nuclear actual build out. There was some news about this with some of the hyperscalers trying to recommission nuclear power plants, but it just feels like it's so slow. It's not on the order of like what TSMC is fabbing next quarter. So we kind of lost track of it, but it does feel like that's going to be the next chapter, and maybe it'll be a little bit longer lead time, but you got to start thinking about it now.
Where do you expect the leverage to come from if that's the next leg of the journey? Is it net new private credit fund formation? Is it just banks getting more and more active? Like where's the capital going to come from?
Okay, so one, let's not forget, there's positive free cash flow from all the big guys.
Yeah.
That annually is something like, I actually have a spreadsheet, maybe even open right now, talking about the total firepower. We're talking quite a bit of capital is available to do this, like a surprising amount. I want to say on an annual basis, it's something like 250, maybe even 200 billion. But the thing that's also really interesting is none of the hyperscalers are levered at all. There's a really good paper from Double Line talking about like, would you rather loan to the United States government or would you rather loan to Microsoft? So the real crazy town is if you start loaning to Microsoft instead of the United States government, because Microsoft has net cash. Microsoft also has become more creditworthy over time versus I would argue the U.S. government has become less creditworthy. Yeah. And also what's really crazy is that Microsoft has, a 5 bips premium to the United States Treasury. So you're effectively, their rates are risk-free. Yeah. And so what's possible, I think, in terms of now I think the real issue is how much liquidity could the actual credit market handle? I don't know if they can handle $300 billion. That's a shit ton of money, but we're talking, there's things that can definitely come out of the woodworks. Private credit is going to be part of it just because they're sitting on an ungodly amount of capital and they have to deploy it. I definitely think the hyperscalers for me are the one that are most interesting. We're talking about, dude, that's crazy. Just
it's funny you say
5 years.
Yeah, it's funny you say 300 billion because I'm thinking I was just doing the math on 250 billion in free cash flow. If that's used to service 5% coupon payments, that's 5 trillion in notional debt. Value. If you're just saying
we want to know where is the systemic risk going to come from?
I don't know.
Well, when you all run out together, that's the problem. Is what happens is it's just think of it as one long debt fueled binge, right? Yep. But the thing is, you're looking at the debt fueled binge, and I can tell you confidently today, there's not really much debt to go around at the big guys. So I think we could right now today it would get. And also, I don't think everyone's going to get to 3 times leverage. That's just insane. I don't think anyone wants to do that. Yeah. But I definitely think there's a way to get to $800 billion of credit. Totally. It'd be insane. But that's 1.5 turns from Meta, Microsoft, Amazon, and Google. And the 2 that I think are most interesting is the founder-led ones, like Zuck and Sergey. They control the companies. They have voting shares. They can do whatever the fuck they want. Yep. So if they woke up tomorrow and said, get me a turn of EBITDA on this bad boy, they could get it. Now, that'd be really crazy because, they make a crap ton of money. I actually have the number right now. So now, I think,
Meta's cash on hand at the end of last year was around 77 billion. As of the end of June, it was down to 47 billion and just will continue to drop throughout the year. So they already did that. I think it was a $30 billion.
They're not even close. They're not even close, man. I have the numbers right now. Yeah. Net debt is 17 billion. Net debt for Google is negative 56. That means they have more cash than debt. Yep. Oracle is 94 billion, which is a crap ton. They're not tapped out, but they really pretty much EBITDA has to go up for them to raise more. Yep. Meta's at 2.4 billion in debt. And then Amazon's 58 billion in debt. So Meta and Google specifically, which are ironically the ones who are founder led, they have so much free cash, or they have so much cash they could raise if they want to. They both have they gush cash, and they're both founder led. That to me is, that's the next leg, man. And also you have to think about who doesn't want to lose.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, why are you not putting NVIDIA in that camp? Founder led. They have $50 billion in cash. They, are not levered yet. Like they could also lever up and start investing more aggressively, right?
Well, they're enjoying some customer, demand guarantees, which are
yeah.
their
But
own,
yeah, what's the story
their
you're
own
telling
risk.
around NVIDIA?
I think NVIDIA is focused on a different level of the stack, right?
Sure.
Because NVIDIA is like, hey, we are an infrastructure provider, and we're having like all these long lead time things need so much capital and time to get there. The thing that NVIDIA wants to backstop, in my opinion, is the neoclouds, and so you're already starting to see that with like some of the neocloud purchases that are or like the neocloud backstopping that happens at like Lambda or even CoreWeave to a certain extent. What happens is they buy essentially flex capacity for research GPUs for NVIDIA so they can get better at programming like GEM essentially. But I think the thing, I think NVIDIA is much more focused on their part of the infrastructure ecosystem to be a backstop instead of purchasing GPU hours, right? They're not in the market to, they're a seller. And so if they woke up one day and said, hey, we're going to just start buying this stuff in mass to make a model, you'd be like, what the fuck's going on?
I just wonder if the NVIDIA story, like if they get in on this like debt boom, it instantiates itself as like they lever up and then they basically have, instead of 50 billion to throw around, they have like 200 billion to throw around, and then that goes into equity purchases of companies that are doing are purchasing GPUs. And it sounds really circular, but like they are just another vehicle for credit to absorb like credit interest because they're such a big company.
Yeah, I do think that's possible, but I think I just don't think. I mean, you see that in some of the smaller investments, but I think they're really focused on the neoclouds and the data center side, like the infrastructure around their ecosystem.
Yeah.
So,
do you think Satya might be feeling like he went a little risk off too early?
Yeah, I think so. And this guy over here is listening to Transistor Radio. Yeah. So Microsoft's back. Like I think they're going to step back into the market in a big way. Like especially on the MOU after OpenAI, and also MAI, they're starting to be very focused on. Like I expect them to be back in the marketplace now, effectively. But I still don't, so I think what happened is they did this giant build out in 23 where they said yes to every single leasing opportunity possible. And then there was a top down pause. And now they're starting to pick up the pieces and be like, no, actually now by pausing, we have to pick back up. So I think Satya definitely feels like, I don't know, he was definitely in first place for a long time and would have, if he just kept pushing, I think he would have kept in first place. And now you have Oracle popping in and being like, yeah, like I'll essentially steal all your business if you let me. We'll come in at a lower price. Like I'm just going to lever my entire balance sheet for it. Yeah. But we're talking about like the 4-year guide is $100 billion, man. Like that's insane. So that $100 billion arguably should have been all Microsoft's, and that's up to them. And they will tell you in public meetings that it's lower ROI for them. And sure, that's the case. But I think Microsoft is definitely being conservative, and they have the biggest balance sheet. So I kind of don't expect them to be the first player. I think of it as like kind of like what is it called? Like OPEC. You need a slippery person to essentially defect. And the slippery defectors is Meta and Google, in my opinion. Yeah. Those are the two biggest. And so when they start to really get into the game, all of a sudden they're going to be like, whoa, this is attacking my business model and I'm losing market share. And that's when the other guys come back in a big way.
Yeah. Do you think Sora is going to move any of these like GPU build out plans? Like Sam was getting kind of mocked for saying like, oh, we're going to have to pick between.
To be clear, I was the one saying, I said, I just thought it was, I thought the timing of going out and saying, yeah, there's a very real possibility in the future that we'll have to choose between curing cancer and free education for everyone. And then a week later, we launch, the most
feels like
intensive product ever.
Intensive slop, yeah. But I mean, we got some news on API pricing. It sounds like it's 32 cents a generation. Like it feels like it might not be moving the needle as much on the inference side, or actually like is Sora going to make them GPU poor? I don't know if you have a view on that.
It's 32 cents per inference. What's the time frame on that?
I think that's 8.
It's per second. Okay, so it's almost $3 for a 10 second clip. Okay, so that's actually like on par with VO3, That's pretty expensive.
That's pretty intense. That's pretty expensive.
And they
That's
give you
pretty
what,
intense.
10 credits a day or something. So if there's hardcore users out there, they're generating $30 a day. What is that? $1,000 a month? Like it adds up. If you get 1 million DAUs on there, like that's a lot.
Yeah, I think they probably have more. They have the potential to do much more than 1 million DAUs. I mean, they're definitely compute rich, man. The Pulse thing. Have you guys been doing Pulse at all?
Yeah, I have.
They generate those images for you, and you're whoa, a little personalized slop feed for me. Like that feels very.
For me, I know. On launch day, we were reacting to it, and John was very impressed. For me, it was like 3 out of the 5 images that I looked at were like great, and then like 2 out of the 5, I'm like, you could have just not generated this one. This is just absolutely garbage, you know. But what do you think about? What do you think? We had a question in the chat from Bobby. He says asking about like what do you think about public sentiment risk? It feels like I've never seen more hatred of AI from non-tech folks than in the last week or so, and you're seeing data centers just getting kind of like blocked. That feels like a potentially, it's certainly going to be a roadblock at a bunch of different stages of this build out.
Yeah, I think that definitely is a newer roadblock that is getting more real, because let's be real, up until now, no one cared. It's like such a small part of the big picture. But I still think the reason why I think we're going to go bravely into the future is everyone else seems to be pretty on board. And I think the one that really helps is the Trump administration is like super duper on board. They're like, hey, whatever, we're going to tear off the shit out of everyone, but we're going to completely make up for the weakness in personal consumption by massively investing. Mm-hmm. And, it's like, we're going to get the biggest check from every company in the world, for every nation in the world. And the only thing anyone wants to spend anything on right now is GPUs. And so they're like, F it, we're building more GPUs. And so you're seeing all these huge announcements. And I think that's that's kind of the thing that will kind of push it back. I mean, if Trump is being like, dude, from the government itself, I'm blessing you to buy more GPUs. That's kind of, I think, the thing that really holds it together and makes it possibly much crazier from here. The public backlash thing, I think that it really comes back to, you have to have that feedback loop work all the way to the right decision maker, not just some random person. Like, yeah, I'm seeing that, read it on the news too, but like Mark Zuckerberg or Satya has to wake up and be like, what am I doing? Right. Right now, everyone in their camp, all the closest advisors and trusted people are being like, spend more. The government, Trump is. Yeah,
I mean, the dinner, everybody wanted to say the biggest number, right? It was even Zuck threw out probably a bigger number than he meant to, because he heard someone. It seemed like he just heard someone else say a big number, and he didn't want to say a smaller number.
Whoa, how much am I good for? How much am I good? He's like on his phone right now. He's like, say your number.
Okay,
yeah.
I have a
one more question. How long do you think XAI can maintain this level of basically like this level of investment without being able to back it up with real revenue growth? Because it seems like this last financing, they were having to tell like the Journal or some other publication, like, we're not having any trouble fundraising, which usually means like you're having not the easiest time if people are kind of poking around.
I mean, okay, so the same way I'm not going to bet against Sam Altman's ability to raise, I'm definitely not going to bet against Elon Musk's ability to raise. Like, Sam Altman is like the newest kid on the block, but if there's someone that like you should never essentially short ever in the history of time, it's Elon Musk. And the other thing I think that's like much more important with that is Elon's back in the seat. He's the CEO of Tesla, and he like actually has the compensation. So he's like, fuck it, I'll ride. I'm very locked in. Yeah. And if we're talking about Mag 7, who has a lot of market cap?
Tesla. Oh yeah.
So things really
but that's what I'm saying, that it just feels like I wouldn't be shocked if a year from now XAI was merged in with Tesla.
100%. And then that,
and that would actually be Tesla stock would pump on that, even though because people just wouldn't.
Yeah.
And so that's gonna.
but XAI would crush because then they're all of a sudden attached to one of the largest financial entities in the entire world.
Totally.
Like that's we're talking trillion dollar market cap, right? Like that's
Yeah.
real fucking like
Very
you can
powerful.
take that and turn it around, you can loan it out, and you can move big checks, dude.
Yeah.
It's very, very non-trivial for them to raise 10, $20 billion off
Yeah.
of
Yeah, what I was getting at was basically this last financing where they're going and raising capital at 200 billion, and those investors have just been getting pitched Anthropic at like 170 with a crazy revenue ramp and a bunch of real traction and code gen. The investors are looking around, being like, okay, like I'll give you the cash, but like I don't know the next time around if there's going to be the same level of appetite.
There's some really big pockets that back Elon. I wouldn't bet against the Elon sphere because you have to remember he made a lot of billionaires out of it. Like, for example, Larry Ellison is always on the phone. I don't know if you knew that. Like he was good for a lot of for X when they took down Twitter.
Yep.
And so you can see a lot of big people come out of the woodworks, and like Larry's flush now.
Yep.
He's got a lot of equity to spend. Okay, yeah. Like these people can come out of the woodwork. So I definitely
I had a theory that we were kicking around earlier that I could see it because Larry's was a big investor in the original X takeover. Right, there's this iconic text exchange where Elon and Larry are talking, and he's like, "I'm good for $1 billion." And he's like, Elon's like, "Okay, you might want to do 2 or something."
Like, yeah, whatever you recommend.
And so I could see a world where X, the social platform, does not go to Tesla and gets spun into the basically Paramount, this whole like media conglomerate, right? Oh, yeah. Because I just don't. Especially with XAI a part of Tesla, it's not like Tesla sitting there and being like, we need to be able to pump timeline posts instantly into every Tesla in America. It just stops being quite as strategic, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, I don't disagree with that take. That's a pretty good take, but I just think that Elon will find a way, whatever way that it needs to happen. If that's with Oracle, if that's with Tesla, like Elon will find a way, I believe. Yeah.
Is there significant asset value in just Colossus 2? Like it is the biggest supercomputer. It's this massive data center. It seems like it was very hard to build. It seems like all the hyperscalers would love to have it.
Sam would love to have it.
If you just ran an auction for it, do you have an idea of like what the value of Colossus 2 would be if there was like breakup value there?
At today's valuation, I mean, I would say it's probably like
couple
tens of billions. I mean, maybe not tens. I mean, I would say tens. Actually, yeah, tens.
That's not
because it's. Are we including Colossus 2?
Yes.
Okay, then yes, tens.
Yeah. I'm just thinking like the XAI assets. Like, sure, the business isn't necessarily like printing profit with some massive consumer product market fit.
Someone would be really stoked.
But someone would be stoked, and there's some value there. It's interesting.
If you think about whatever Nebius is, that deal with Microsoft, literally scale that up, and that's probably what you would buy on a TCO basis for Colossus. Like, there's demand. So, okay.
I gotta go, man. Yeah. One last question. You got to go.
Okay. One last question.
Harebrained theory. I want your feedback on this hot take. There's a lot of discussion over the value of TSMC and Taiwan risk, but we now have the golden visa, $2 million to bring someone to America. For $100 billion, you could bring 50,000 people. Is there some world where we get into like AI talent wars, but for process knowledge around semiconductor manufacturing, and we see some American entity start poaching TSMC employees en masse to get them to America?
That's definitely possible. I just don't feel like it's probable. People have been saying there's a supply shortage, yet like TSMC has a lot of has almost a captive audience, dude. Mm-hmm. Like if you think about it, TSMC's like, I mean, it'd be like working for the government almost, but like even more prestigious and killing the shit out of everything. Like TSMC is like the company of Taiwan.
Sure.
Dude, honestly, TSMC engineers are like really underpaid as is, like on a, don't tell them, right? But like on a dollar basis compared to even American peers, and a lot of people like China, for example, poaches very heavily. So I think there's definitely a chance. But I feel like you have to take the entire know all. Like it's not just the tool; it's the tool, the process, everyone. You'd have to take the whole fab. But yeah, I think it'd be sick, dude. I think if
Intel could do it,
I
right?
think Intel should do it.
Intel should do it because they have the golden visa, they have the backstop from Trump, they have all the investors coming in. They'll probably have an OpenAI deal soon, who knows? And then they have all the money, and then they can just bring people over. Anyway, we won't take any more of your time. Thank you so much for hopping on the show.
Super fun, Doug.
Always a great time.
to see you.
We'll talk to you soon.
Guys, yeah. Talk soon. Bye.
Let me tell you about Turbo Puffer. Search every byte. Serverless vector and full text search from first principles and object storage. Fast, 10x cheaper, and extremely scalable. You also heard Doug talking about agentic commerce. It's more important than ever to get your brand mentioned on ChatGPT. Go to Profound. Reach millions of consumers who are using AI to discover new products and brands. Our horse post popped off. We took our first day off on Friday, but we did give you some facts about our horse in the studio, which you can see behind Jordy Hayes over there. And we got a wonderful reply from Eric, who's working on soil tech. He says, the horse as a symbol is deep Lindy, power, camaraderie, and frontiering forward motion. As a Kentuckian, I can only agree. More horse content, and shares 3 beautiful images of horse statues
Incredibly
throughout
underrated
the ages.
Animal.
In other news,
most underrated.
Dan McCormick, Packy McCormick's brother, has launched his creatine gummy brand in Target. That's Create. A wild step in this journey that in many ways started with him posting on X. 3 years ago, he was embarrassed to be starting a creatine company. He'd shy away, hedge, and downplay when asked about it in real life on X. Surrounded by a bunch of like-minded freaks, I could post openly about my excitement and the business's progress. I've shared a lot less over the last 2 years, but my bullishness...
Actually, the timing on Create... And Dan's
really good.
Perfect timing is
very
kind of
early.
insane. It felt like a supplement that already had almost perfect saturation.
Totally.
Right. I think anybody that I knew that was like working out multiple days a week was already using creatine, but never doubt American demand for supplements in gummy format.
And never
doubt it again. Never doubt Elon.
Never doubt an Irishman.
Never doubt demand for gummies.
Oh, this is fun. Rampman acquisition today. They bought Jolt AI to help their engineers build faster. Jolt is a world-class team of engineers who have spent years solving some of the hardest problems in developer productivity. Today, Ramp is welcoming them to the team. They're scaling the AI platform and reimagining how software and finance get built. Said from a talent perspective, says Kareem Attia from Ramp. Ramp's engineering team is made up of founders, math Olympiads, and AI researchers. Kareem's goal is to hire elite technical talent and then get out of their way. For his part, Jolt's Spectre, the founder, admitted in an interview that he didn't expect to get acquired by a company like Ramp, but that he's extremely happy it's where his team landed. The trio will be working on a number of things, including Ramp's internal engineering platform. So congrats.
Fantastic.
To them. We should
hit that gong, John. First hit of the week. It's good to be back. Technium says you can now invest in NVIDIA, Intel, AMD, ARM, OpenAI, Mistral, CoreWeave, Nebius, and more with just one ticker. NVIDIA.
Of course. We also had
Parikh says word.
Is he continuing?
He's posting again.
Is he continuing to run? We also got some gong analysis. This is from Ethan Frost on September 30th. He said, I analyzed every gong hit on TBPN. Here's what I found. Tyler, can you take us through this post of what the breakdown was? And do you think this was manually tagged or was there AI involved? It's a pretty remarkable breakdown of all the different gong hits, how much they raised, and then how loud the gong hit was. But explain this post to us.
Yes,
right?
I think the main thesis was like, are gong hits on 2PN, are they louder as funding increases?
Yes.
You can see the correlation is like slightly there. I think it's a bit hard because of like sometimes the microphone is just a little bit farther away.
Sure.
So it wasn't like a crazy kind of correlation. But yeah, he basically just indexed all of the gong hits that we've basically ever done.
Yes.
And then done a ton of data. So like Series A, Series B, he breaks it all down. He also breaks down between you guys.
Okay.
So there's some good facts here.
Who's louder on the gong, me or Jordy?
Let's look.
Definitely Jordy.
Definitely
Jordy?
That, for sure.
Okay.
Definitely me.
Yeah, John is standing more often
Standing.
than Jordy when he's hitting the gong.
He really-
But Jordy
Do I hit
throws.
the gongs Do I?
Sit-
But I throw the mallet.
Yeah,
sometimes.
Jordy throws the mallet a lot more
Now
often.
I've got a clean shot. I gotta
You
be.
gotta really rip it. These are so funny. Total gongs I heard by day of the week. Why are there so many on Saturday and Sunday? We don't record on Saturday or Sunday. I was very confused by this.
Oh, maybe
When he
the
listens or
weekly recap we post
Maybe.
sometimes.
But I like. that
Anyways,
there's
fantastic analysis.
Yes.
And
the toss. Let's see the toss hit. That's a funny one. I like that.
underutilized.
Anyway, thank you for your service,
Appreciate
Ethan
it.
Frost.
Ethan, legend. Buco Capital says I put 10% of my portfolio into reshoring semis, and it just wasn't even close to enough.
Mm-hmm.
Easiest money of our lifetime. Listen to the president. Should have brought a shovel, not a teaspoon.
It's true. Yeah, very interesting to see where the Intel story goes. I wonder if there will be an OpenAI deal soon for CPUs or something.
Justine Moore was sharing that Taylor Swift is using AI-generated videos to promote her new album.
Yeah.
I was surprised to see that. Biggest artist in the world.
Usually there's like a ton of pushback when big artists
Yeah, it
use
feels like
AI
she
as
would
their
get.
creators. Yeah, a lot of
She's
pushback.
a
There-
prime.
It might be
cancellation
happening. We don't-
target.
I haven't followed it too closely.
But Patrick McKenzie says, I think the economic logic of this is inevitable and that you'll need video to get your N+1 marketing posts through the noise on social media, even as Taylor Swift. And your choices are either a 100K shoot per post or a relatively junior employee with some taste.
Yeah.
And it's a good take.
Yeah, there is this development of like, will everything be instantiated in every possible format? So if you have a startup launch video or announcement, you'll write a pithy tweet, and then you'll write a blog post, and you'll also drop a podcast, and then you'll also drop a vibe reel and a video and a 2-hour documentary, and they will all be instantiated from just a short fact sheet that then goes out. And it begs the question of like, where will the instantiation live? Will I, as the consumer of content, say, I want to consume these sources in video format? That's kind of the Notebook LM model, is like, I am saying I want to consume the internet in a podcast format. With ChatGPT, you're kind of like, no matter what question you ask, no matter what the sources are, it comes to you as a neatly organized research report that's a couple thousand words with bullet points, and it's not this, it's that every time. But then there's the other side, which is lives on the creator side, which says I should instantiate my idea, my concept, my take as a TikTok reel, as a YouTube video, as a podcast, as a video, and I do that on my side. And I'm wondering where it lives long term.
Yeah.
Because there is a world where you can go to where Taylor Swift doesn't need to generate the AI-generated video, because I, as the Taylor Swift fan, can go to Sora, and it knows that I'm a fan of Taylor Swift, and it automatically generates it for me based on just her text post. Or
she could just share the prompt in text in the Notes app,
and then you could just imagine it. Exactly,
laugh.
maybe. I don't know. It'll be somewhere in between.
Ethan Frost is in the chat. So
really?
Let's go.
Let's go. Hey, what's up,
go,
Ethan? Thanks so much.
Great to see you. Thank
Good
you
to see
for analyzing the gong.
Yes.
What else?
Linear. Linear is a purpose-built tool for planning and building products. Meet the system for modern software development, streamline issues, projects, and product roadmaps.
I would go out on a limb and say everything that OpenAI launched today was almost certainly planned in Linear.
For sure.
So.
Oh, this is a fun one. So Kareem Jetta says, introducing Gaslight Garage, a box where I put my phones and feed them AI-generated audio nonsense to make them think I want to buy stuff. Practical AI for the people, Gaslight Garage. And Snowy, or SNWY, says, I tried this once after getting into an argument with my parents about whether your phone listens or not. Where do you stand on this, Jordy? Do you think your phone is listening to you?
Man, such a tough one, because everybody has like an example or two.
Yep.
But if you think about
We talked about
how
this
many
thing,
ads you get,
and then I saw an ad
how many
for it.
different things you see, how many ads you get over a multi-year period,
Yep.
how many products you talk about over a multi-year period,
Yep.
and then at some point or another, there
gonna
being
latch
like perfect alignment
Yep.
between the two.
Yep.
And then also you have to factor in people that search for something once and then, on a certain network and then forgot about it, or someone else in a household searched for something and then somebody else in the household gets served, right? There's a lot of different ways to explain away the listening aspect. But
I noticed that some of the spookiest ads that I would ever see would come from a conversation that I had with a person in real life where the phones could have been listening, but more likely, and then I saw an ad. So they tell me, oh, you got to test out these headphones. And I see an ad for those exact headphones the next day. And I'm like, that's weird. I just heard about that and now I'm seeing an ad. How did that happen? I know I didn't search for it. I know I didn't send any data signal to my phone or my apps. But then I realized that it's if they just ordered those headphones, and that data of them shopping and them going through that checkout flow is encoded in their Instagram profile. And then it knows that we hung out because we're friends on the network and we like each other's posts and we were texting with each other on the app and stuff. And then it can say, well, Jordy just liked these headphones. John and Jordy were just hanging out. Showed John the they might be similar consumers. I feel like that can be kind of spooky, but very a clear flow that would come from the data. But anyway, Snowy said, got 2 iPhone 6s, both wiped and connected to 2 different Wi-Fi networks with independent VPNs, said keywords to one and different ones to another, never in earshot of each other, with multiple apps, Insta, Facebook, Twitter, open with their accounts and basic usage. And the ads were never what I said. They were basically always location-based / pretty basic things. My running theory is that whoever thinks their phone is listening is just predictable enough that it knows, not because it heard them. I think that's probably right. Plus, there's this massive incentive that if the phones were listening and targeting, there would be a huge incentive to become a whistleblower. There's been a whole tour of folks who have left Meta, become influencers.
You can go get a book deal.
You can get a book deal, exactly.
You can get a speaking tour. You can get a TED Talk.
Exactly.
You can get a government job.
Probably.
I don't know how much somebody at Meta
you get
wants
paid to testify? Maybe they should do that. Appearance fee for testimony on Capitol Hill. Let's make it happen. Anyway, numeral, sales tax on autopilot, spend less than 5 minutes per month on sales tax compliance. Someone in the chat is like, I was just thinking about numeral.
How did they
He's
know?
speaking to me directly. You and Tyler should debate this one. Mr. Beast said, when AI videos are just as good as normal videos, I wonder what that will do to YouTube and how it will impact millions of creators making content for a living. Scary times. And Justine Moorhead.
It's kind of crazy that biggest YouTuber comes out and just scares everybody, because I think if you dig into this at all, it's pretty easy to show how AI presents an incredible opportunity for existing creators. Yes, some amount of attention will go to content, will go to net new content creators that are just using the tools better or more focused, but nowhere in here does it say that if you're making a living from content today, you can't use AI to make significantly more content, significantly better content. It's much more of a opportunity than a threat in its current form.
Yeah, I also think it's funny coming from Mr. Beast, because it's just this is slop on slop hate. Mr. Beast is I would not want my kids to be watching Mr. Beast videos. If you watch them, it's just the cuts are every 1.5 seconds. It's pretty insane already. So, I think Mr. Beast style.
Well,
content
also
if you
remember, he wasn't. He tried to create a tool that used AI to make thumbnails, and he eventually rolled that feature back because it was taking away potential revenue from thumbnail artists.
Yeah. So I would say that his style of content is much more susceptible, I guess, to being taken
See,
over by AI.
I totally disagree, because I think part of the reason, I can see what you're saying in the sense that you can argue this is slop. I don't want people I wouldn't want my kids to watch it. At the same time, it's very clearly the opposite. It's the opposite of slop in that it's massive productions, real humans.
Did you see the
right?
reaction?
Real money on the line.
Don't worry, Jimmy. Like, people want to know that you made 100 people stay in that circle for a month.
Exactly. It's like
They wanna
so much
know that
more
the
entertaining.
suffering's real.
If you just took Mr. Beast style content and made it using AI, it would not be nearly as entertaining, right?
Yeah, people want the suffering.
It's like why, or
I mean,
you could just watch two robots play chess, right?
yeah.
Like, okay, you can say that it has this big budget, but like, I don't think you can't say that Mr. Beast is like, oh, it's like this auteur cinematic content. Like, it's still at like, there's like, okay, it's like, they have real people, but above that, it's just like, this is like very stimulating, like fast-paced content.
Yeah, but a
That is,
big
like,
part of it
basically
is
akin to-
the human suffering element.
Yeah,
AI,
it's the real stakes.
I wait until AI can actually suffer like a human.
Yeah, I mean, you could. I'm trying to think of the most recent example, but there is something about just like the fact-checking chain of like, if you're watching someone do. Like, I bet when the X Games happens or when Red Bull does their next stunt, like, that will get more viral views than the Stephen Hawking novelty X Games video. Just because there's something that we know, that the fact that the X Games is a real organization, that they own, that they're not posting AI generated content, and they've made that commitment to only show videos, or Red Bull's only showing videos of humans doing wingsuiting through a helicopter off of a cliff or whatever. And so there's something that just hits like more emotionally, like it's more emotionally resonant. And then there's also all of these like downstream, like behind the scenes, like the Mr. Beast, like, are the videos fake, has been a long time debated. He's kind of beat those allegations every time. But like the incentive to like kind of see like a whistleblower on someone who's like faking their content will be like at an all-time high. But I would imagine that the institutions that still make people suffer will do quite well. But I don't know. I mean, I think it'll definitely like widen the gap. Like, if you're making content that is at all substitutable with slop, like, you're done. But if you're making content that cannot be challenged whatsoever and is so like uniquely human, but yeah, where does Mr.
Yeah,
Beast fall
a good
in that?
example. A good example is like, is Andrew Huberman threatened by someone else coming out and creating an AI-based persona that tries to do the same thing that he does, right?
Yeah.
In terms of like creating long-form content around various health protocols and health topics.
Yeah.
And I think that even if you could put the level of craft in that the Huberman Lab team does, do you want to be getting health advice from an imaginary robot? Right? Or do you want health advice from Andrew Huberman because he's 50 and he's absolutely jacked and he's living his best life, right? It's like, where the content is coming from matters a lot.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
yeah, the provenance matters. People care about other humans. They're anti-clanker at their core in many ways. Well, let me tell you about Fin.ai, the #1 AI agent for customer service, #1 in performance benchmarks, #1 in competitive bake-offs, #1 ranking on G2. In other reshoring, we're not just reshoring chips, we're also reshoring Sharpies. Apparently, Sharpie found a way to make pens more cheaply by manufacturing them in the United States. Newell Brands move production.
I need one of these. They need to make the red, white, and blue Sharpie pack immediately. I need these.
This is actually mentioned in the Wall Street Journal article. Apparently, where is it? Donald Trump uses a Sharpie all the time or something like that.
For signatures, right?
Yeah. Where is it? Pen barrels whirl along automated assembly lines that rapidly fill them with ink. At least 500 million Sharpie markers are churned out here every year, each one made of six parts. Only the felt tip is imported from Japan. It didn't used to be this way back in 2018. Many Sharpies were made abroad. That's when Chris Peterson, who is the CFO of Sharpie maker Newell Brands, challenged his team to answer the question, how could they keep Newell from becoming obsolete compared with factories in Asia? I felt like we had an opportunity to dramatically improve our U.S. manufacturing. He's now the CEO, and he makes all 93 colors of Sharpie at a 37-year-old factory. And they did it without reducing employee count and without raising prices. But to get to this place, it took close to $2 billion in investments across the company. And so,
of course, this is a $2 billion market cap company.
Okay, it's like what book value to market cap is 1-to-1 apparently. If they did all that in
This company
CapEx.
has
I want to get the CEO on the show at some point. President Trump uses a custom Sharpie. He slapped high tariffs on many imports with the goal of prompting more companies to do what Newell has done and bring manufacturing back to the U.S. But Filippo Falorni, an analyst at Citi, said few companies in the sector have the resources to replicate Newell's move. Well, I think we're ready for our next guest. Ready? Let's bring in Celine from Loyal. But first, let me tell you about ADIO, customer relationship magic. ADIO is the AI native CRM that builds, scales, and grows your company to the next level. You can get started for free. Let me also tell you about Public, investing for those that take it seriously. They got multi-asset investing, industry-leading yields.
there you
And
are.
they're trusted
Welcome
by millions. Yeah, we're hoping to
the
get
show.
a real horse in the studio at some point.
I can help with that.
Yes?
I have like 3.
No way. Wait,
3.
you actually have horses?
Yeah, I'm a crazy horse girl.
Where?
Yes.
Petaluma.
Petaluma.
Yeah.
Do you live there?
No.
Okay.
It's SF.
Cool.
But I do the anti-commute.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is that?
Like you drive up against the traffic
Okay.
to North Bay to go ride your horses.
Okay.
I've taken investor calls while on a horse.
Okay.
No
Almost
way.
fell off
Wow.
while on an investor call while on
Yeah.
a horse.
Wait, walk me through. Like, are they the same breed? Like, what's the story with the 3 horses? Why 3?
Horses are potentially the worst investment you could ever make. I do not recommend them. They are worse. I feel like there's some like seed valuation joke you could make here about horses. Anyhow, they tend to break themselves. They're
were-
like self-destructive.
We were thinking about getting a horse at one point. We wanted to race it in the Kentucky Derby and give it like some funny name.
We
Oh,
were going to
no.
call it the ramp.
Yeah,
Oh
and
my
we were
God.
and we were running the numbers, and it wasn't that crazy as a marketing.
Honestly,
Well, yeah,
that's
you get
smart.
into it and you're like, okay, maybe it's like $100K for the horse, and then it's
Naming
like a couple
rights.
grand a month to like.
But it's such a
train
funny
it
stunt.
up,
Someone's
and-
going to do it now that we said
Somebody's
it on the
gonna do
show.
it.
Dude,
Yeah.
that color would look sick on a horse, though. Like,
Yeah. I
imagine
know.
the racing stripes.
I'd love it.
I know.
Anyway, sorry. Kick us off with an introduction on yourself and the company.
Hi, yeah, I'm Celine Halioua. I'm the founder and CEO of Loyal, and we're developing drugs to extend dog lifespan.
Amazing.
Horses next.
Horses next, venture capitalists
Actually,
next.
Humans
Venture
eventually.
capital- eventually.
Yeah. What was the inspiration for the company? Did you know that you wanted to start with animals, or was that purely like the FDA?
No, so I actually was working in human longevity. So
Yeah.
I worked with a previous guest of y'all's, Laura Deming,
Amazing.
at her venture fund for a few years, and we were just frustrated because nobody was trying to develop a drug explicitly for lifespan extension, right? And we're like, this is obviously we all
That was the
live longer and
sci-fi
healthier.
promise.
Yeah.
right?
That was the
Everybody was
promise.
promising it, but nobody was working on it specifically.
Not directly, no.
Yeah.
They're all kind of going these indirect paths. And so we became obsessed with how to do this. Realized to do it in humans, it would take a lot of time,
Yeah.
a lot of money. But you could do it in dogs. It's a super crazy market. I hear one of you is a dog person.
I am.
This
My
guy.
dog was supposed to attend, but I had
Dude.
to leave right after, and so
Dude.
he's busy. He was chasing squirrels. He's a 10-year-old Newfoundland, so he needs.
Oh, wait, so you understand this?
No, yeah,
Because
for
we're
sure.
starting with
I think a
big
Newfoundland's
dog
like
short
on your
lifespan.
on your homepage. There's
Yeah,
Newfoundland
yeah,
for a
yeah.
while at least.
Yeah, no, Newfies are the shit.
Yeah, no, it was like the dog was pitched to me as like, look, every day after year 5 is like a miracle because they're known to have extremely short lifespans,
Yep.
and so I kind of set myself up for like, look, like I'm not coming in. Like you get a golden retriever, you're not thinking like, yeah, it's going to live for 40 years. So I just went into it thinking, okay, I'm getting a Newfoundland that's 6 to 8 years or something, and he's done very well. He's 10 years old.
Good job. We need to sequence your dog. I'll send
Please.
you a saliva kit. We actually have an investor that has 2 giant Newfies
Yeah.
that they bring around everywhere.
Ooh,
like
everywhere.
on his
I should do
plane.
that.
It's hilarious. And
Well, that's why he's living so long.
well,
Flying-
yeah, that helps.
Flying
And
private helps.
Do
All
not
the
take your
pressure.
dog's commercial.
Yeah,
but I actually got convinced to take their term sheet because they sent me their Pinterest board, which was just Newfies,
Newfies?
all the way down.
I love Newfies. They're the best dogs.
Fully committed.
They're so good. On the fact that there's never been a drug explicitly for longevity, is that just because like in order to have a drug you need a problem or some sort of like it needs to be a treatment for a specific condition and just death is not a condition, and so is that the
Kinda.
right narrative?
Yeah, like the way to think about it is to be able to have a drug to approve to do something, you have
Yeah.
to prove that the drug is doing that thing.
Sure.
And so if I gave you guys a longevity drug and I was like, oh, let's see if it extends
Just
your
wait
lifespan.
50 years.
Yeah, I'd be following you for decades.
Yeah.
And the company's going to be long dead
Sure.
and all of that.
It's also hard to prove that the drug was the catalyst for
Exactly.
longer life, right? It could have been, oh, they just got a lot of sun, or they walked a lot, or they
There's
ate
a lot of variability,
Yeah.
right? Like the decisions you make, the yerba mate being
Yes.
pro or anti-longevity, whatever it is, right? All of these things vary aging. It's one of the most complex
Sure.
phenotypes, but we all go through it.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing is true in dogs, but the good thing about dogs, at least when you're developing a longevity drug, is they age much faster.
Sure.
So you can see if something is working in a period of
Yeah.
time that's much more reasonable.
And
So-
you can
yeah.
you can theoretically have a much more like isolated study. Is that right? Just because.
What do you mean
I'm at-
isolated?
Well, I just imagine like it's easier to control factors in a dog's life versus like a bunch of
Like a dog is not
human.
going on a bender in Las Vegas.
That is,
Like,
yes, yeah.
so you can just be like, yeah, well,
They're
we
not
know
doing-
exactly
yeah.
what the dog's diet was pretty much every single day. Maybe he got into a cheeseburger once, but a human is like using Diet Coke one day and then some alcohol and then this and then Bender and then Burning Man. Who knows? There's so many confounding factors.
And
whereas
dogs
the dog's
aren't
much
like
more
didn't have
clean.
like a cheeky cigarette
Yeah.
habit earlier in their
No.
life that they don't talk about or something like that.
No, it's true. Yeah, dogs just, it's still complicated, but it's much more simple. And then you also have these individual breed variances,
Yeah.
which teach you a lot about humans too, right? Like why does a Newfie have such a short lifespan versus a Golden versus a Chihuahua? You can study these things in a much
Yeah.
more quickly way.
Yeah, why not mice though? I feel like there's a lot of mice studies. It works in mice.
You know, I love mice. I don't think mice are a multi-billion-dollar market.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the thing. The commercial opportunity
Yeah.
with dogs, if you ask a dog owner how much would you pay to have an extra year
Yeah.
of healthy lifespan for your dog?
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's a wide range between like $1,000 and some people that are like, I would pay any
Yeah.
price. I will, liquidate my 401k for
Yeah.
another 2 years.
It's actually really interesting. Like people, it's not actually really at all correlated to socioeconomic status or
Yeah.
how much cash people have in the bank. They will just spend anything. A certain subset of the population
Dog
will
lovers.
spend anything on their dog. I've had people offer me $50,000 for the drug before, and I
Wow.
would like to note to the FDA that I said no.
Yes.
But I've actually gotten a lot of offers like this.
Yeah, it's crazy.
The willingness to pay is insane.
Yeah.
The market is huge, and so we could hopefully make a multi-billion-dollar company around this, and then use that revenue to fund more research,
Yeah.
Yep.
maybe into horses
Love it. Yeah. What was the
or podcast
initial?
growth.
Yes, please.
What was the initial target? Kind of the biotech side of the business. Like, how do you know what to target? How do you narrow it down? Like, there's a lot of different life extensions, NAD and telomere extension, and just cardiac stuff. There's like a million different sub indications that people think about when they're thinking about their own longevity.
Yeah.
How do you narrow it down? What do you focus on?
So the way we thought about it is we wanted something that was as broad as possible. So as, efficacious and relevant to the Chihuahua as it is to another dog, right? And even if they have different food or different behaviors or, more inbred or less inbred, that it still may work.
Yeah.
So that was one. And two, you want something that's relatively simple, right? Aging is so unbelievably complicated that when you add any additional variables, like things just become exponential really quickly.
Yeah.
And so where we actually started is what you were talking about early with Newfies, with a short lifespan of big dogs.
Yep.
Because it turns out the genetic driver of dog size, the thing that makes a Newfie grow really, really big in puberty or makes a Chihuahua not grow big in puberty, also genetically controls the rate of aging of that dog. So your Newfie, well, maybe not your Newfie, but the average Newfie is actually aging at a much faster rate.
Yeah.
And so that was a really nice place to start because A, it's something that everyone understands, especially big dog lovers. They're like, I know the heartbreak of losing a Great Dane or losing a large Labrador.
Yeah.
And it was like simple mechanistically. And it was applicable to a wide swath of the canine population. Basically, any dog over a certain weight would be eligible and has this problem, right? Because they're not living as long as a Chihuahua that lives for 16 years. Every other bigger dog has a somewhat shorter lifespan than that theoretical maxima.
So, I mean, how do you explain what the drugs are actually doing?
So basically,
That's a black box, unfortunately.
basically the way to think about it is, all puppies are born approximately the same size, but a Great Dane puppy has super high levels of these proteins called growth hormone and IGF-1. And these are circulating at really high levels and they're basically binding to their cells and saying, grow, divide, grow, divide. And that's why your burner puppy or Newfie puppy is getting so big.
Yep.
That's normal. It happens in humans too, but it shunts down significantly once you're fully grown.
Sure.
In a big dog, it doesn't.
Yeah.
So big dogs still have these super high levels of these growth hormones circulating around that are basically making the dog turn over at a faster rate. So what the drug does is it inhibits those levels. It brings them down to a level that's seen naturally in dogs. So think bringing a Newfie's level down to an Aussie Shepherd or something similar.
Interesting.
And this is like this idea that if you reduce growth hormone, if you reduce IGF-1, extends lifespan. It's actually been shown all the way from worms to mice to a multitude of organisms, and there's even human centenarians that have the same genetic things that chihuahuas do.
And our bio
And the
They're
inverse.
spiritually chihuahuas.
so is the like
I think that's an insult.
is the scientific like phrase like IGF-1 inhibitors essentially? And are biohackers using that out in the wild like against the FDA? Are they?
How much can you
is there
learn
medical
from
tourism?
these sort of fringe biohackers and what?
Oh,
what
God.
These N of 1
Is
studies.
there anything? Is
God.
there anything to learn, or just?
Well, yes, there's always things to learn. It's funny. People actually often will supplement growth hormone and IGF-1 because it makes your muscles really big.
Oh, sure.
And it's very aesthetic.
It's kind of like human growth hormone.
Yeah, exactly.
really is.
Exactly. It does not increase function, but it does increase like muscle size. So a lot of people might not be happy.
Interesting. It
when they hear
doesn't
about
correlate
this.
with strength at all.
It's just like,
Just gives you
like,
the pump.
eh.
I mean,
Yeah, you guys can't tell I'm on it.
That seems
yeah. Well, I mean, plenty. I think the people that are taking HGH are doing that specifically entirely
Aesthetics.
for aesthetic
Yeah.
reasons, and they're post strength.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes, they are post strength.
But are there people in the biohacking community that swear by it, or are they optimistic that it will have an effect on longevity for them?
Yeah, I mean, this mechanism is pretty consensus
Sure.
as a longevity mechanism.
So, yeah.
It's not going to be as like this specific one, the big dog short lifespan, isn't going to be as relevant to humans because like I'm not living twice as long as you guys,
Yeah.
right? Me being so short that I'm having to like sit on my feet.
Sure, but a
Because
Newfie
I'm-
does live lives half as long as a Chihuahua.
Exactly. So think of it as kind of like a biological hack
Yep.
to have a foot into a very, very, very complicated biological problem.
Yep. What's the current understanding of why women live longer than men?
I mean, we just do less crazy shit.
It's just risk taking.
Yeah, it's risk
No
taking.
way. I assumed
No.
it was like heart attacks or something.
No, I actually don't know.
Okay,
There's like a real reason, but I don't know. what it
Yeah.
is.
I like the idea that dudes are just wingsuiting. too
Dudes are
much.
just fucking insane.
So walk me through the actual process to commercialize and grow the business. I imagine the FDA has a number of different subgroups. Veterinary medicine's one of them. Is that a more receptive, faster pathway than just the traditional drugs for humans pathway? Are you accelerated there?
Yeah, so the FDA on the veterinary side is super stringent, right? It matters a lot. In some ways, it's almost more because a dog can't talk. So you're really
Yeah.
trusting the FDA and you're trusting your veterinarian that this like pill you're giving isn't going to like cause some disaster.
Sure.
But the nice thing with canines is that the incentives are really, really aligned, right? Like everybody wants dogs to live a longer, healthier life. And
Yeah.
preventative medicine is really where it is with dogs because, there's no insurance. Nobody's getting $500,000 cancer CAR T therapies or whatever, right? It's always a dog owner having to pay out of pocket.
Sure.
So most of the really successful dog drugs today are already preventative medicines. Think like heartworm prevention,
Yep.
right? It's reducing the risk of your dog getting a disease that if you give the drug, you'll never see them get that disease.
Yeah.
Right? Flea and tick, same thing. There's a lot of categories of medicines like this. So yeah, it's actually been really fun to work with them. And then the new administration is like, well, it's a little complicated, like super pro longevity, right? And so it'll be interesting to see how that maybe impacts the human side where things are very regulated, but also just a bit more complicated.
But it seems absolutely critical, even just from a fiscal standpoint, that we figure out how to get
Yep.
people to live longer and healthier.
Yes, it's, people, when you talk about longevity, they tend to be like, oh, but like you're just going to make the rich live longer. And like the fact of the matter is the rich already live longer because they can also access better cancer meds, better, doctors. I do like preventative screens all the time. The vast majority of Americans could never afford that, right? Versus like a daily cheap pill that broadly extends your quality of life and broadly extends your lifespan. It not only helps that individual to potentially prevent them or delay them developing cancer, it also helps their children who aren't going to have to become caretakers before their own careers have taken off. It means that they can have more flexibility in doing the next great thing.
Yeah.
I think actually better health of the population is one of the best great equalizers we could bring.
Yeah. How closely does your business track to what I'm loosely familiar with in the biotech world, where it's like you're in the lab, you develop the drug, then you test it on like dog, monkey, mice, something like that. You take that data through phase 1, phase 2. It's a multi-year process. The company might IPO and then get bought by Merck or Pfizer at some point. That's what I think of when I think of biotech. Like yes, we've created a new drug for like this very specific cancer, but it's still a $10 million or $100 billion outcome because it fixed this one thing and it became very profitable. Is that the typical path, or is it wildly different in veterinary?
Dude, your biotech context is like on point. I'm actually super impressed.
We had a bunch of biotech investors and founders on one day when Trump was doing the most favored nation thing. We tried to get up to speed on it, which I don't really know where that went, but anyway, just in
it's
terms
okay.
of
There was almost 100% tariff on us, and then that got
really?
yeah,
No way.
But that got taken away.
Okay,
It's been really interesting. It's been exciting.
It's all a roller coaster this
my
year.
cortisol is just like
Perfect. Sure, that's good for longevity.
Yeah.
my personal longevity is not benefiting from
Yeah.
oil. So the way to think about it is, if you're comparing to human, is you do maybe backing up a little bit. The overarching themes of developing a dog drug is it takes like 4 to 7 years, basically by a combination of how effective and how lucky you are to get a dog drug approved. Takes about $20 to $50 million. For context, in humans, it takes a decade to develop a human drug. It takes about $1 billion to develop a human drug.
So you're like orders of magnitude faster.
Orders
and
of
cheaper.
magnitude faster and cheaper.
Yep.
And then actually the coolest thing
And you
is
guys have been pretty lucky, right?
we've also been lucky, right? And like
Wait,
totally.
where did you catch lucky breaks? Explain.
Oh my God! Like
Well, I just feel like I feel like the
Everywhere.
average whenever you guys announce it, like any type of milestone, the average investor is basically sharing something to the effect of, you guys don't realize like how rare this is, like the speed at which you guys have been able to
I mean, it's
kind of just like knock down these different milestones.
I mean, we've gotten the first ever efficacy approval for a longevity drug. We've created the first regulatory pathway for a drug
that's
to be
just for
approved for
all-
longevity.
for
For
all
any
longevity.
species,
Yeah,
right?
not just
Obviously, it's in dogs, but it's
Yeah.
any species. And dogs actually they're regulated by the same federal regs as human drugs. So it was still a really huge lift. We're running the first ever lifespan pivotal FDA enabling clinical trial. Like all of these things are super, super hard. We got, obviously we're like have a smart team, but yeah, you have to get really lucky too, right? We got lucky at the drug. When you pick a drug and you're like, this is going to be our lifespan extension drug, it either is or isn't, right? And there's nothing I can do as CEO to make this drug work if it doesn't work.
Well, you can try and take like
Right.
10 drugs through the pathway at the same time, potentially.
That's kind of what we're doing.
Yeah.
We have like 4 in development,
Okay.
but that's really expensive.
Of course.
Right?
So you have to pick a couple candidates that have the most promise, and luck comes in, and that like you hope one of those is the one that you picked.
And you hope there isn't some like random toxicity that you find out at the 11th hour,
Yep.
and that like totally nukes. And especially with a longevity drug, there's zero tolerance for adverse events. There's zero tolerance for me turning your dog.
Yeah, because it's
blue.
not like you have a bad condition that you're trying to treat. and so
Exactly.
some side effects the average patient would be okay with some side effects.
Yep.
It's like you're going from net neutral to it has to be better.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
it can't reduce quality of life.
Yeah.
I mean, that much. I mean, there's people like, what are some of the human, the drugs that human patients are taking? I feel like Peter Attia and people are taking certain drugs that
like rapamycin.
yeah, they
metformin.
metformin
Yeah.
reduces your like athletic performance.
They
scheme.
all have some like metformin is like works by improving your metabolic fitness, which we actually have drugs that are actually our lead drug now is improving metabolic fitness in senior dogs. Is a very like robust way. Like if you've ever intermittent fast or calorically restricted, that's a way to improve your metabolic fitness. Metformin just does that as a drug. It's an old diabetes drug, but yeah, it has a bunch of like stomach side effects, and also just when you give any
there's
drug
also-
for a long time, bad things can happen.
Yeah, there's also it can't. If somebody were to reclassify it as there's no incentive to reclassify metformin as a longevity drug because it's off patent, right?
Exactly.
So you
No
would
one
spend
makes
all
money
this
off
money.
of it.
I didn't know that.
Because there's a lot of it's debated, right? But there's a lot of evidence that like aspirin it could be potentially beneficial for lifespan, but nobody would do the work to reclassify it because it's off patent, and you could go and you could spend $1 billion proving that it works, and then everybody could just make it.
Yep.
So
Yep. And this is like a niche thing that actually.
and so you can't even market aspirin as
No, it's not a
because
viable
that would be
label
illegal.
claim.
Yeah.
No. And this is a niche reason why loyal it made a lot of sense and why I was like, okay, I guess I'm going to go and do this is you're 100%, you have this catch-22 when you're trying to develop a human longevity drug, which is you need something that has a ton of safety, both acutely, right? So if you took like 5 of them, nothing bad's going to happen, but also over a period of time, right? If I give it to you for a decade, is it going to increase your risk of colon cancer or something? The only way you know that is by giving it to that person for a decade. By the time you have done that, the drug is generic. One of the really cool things about animal health is that the FDA tries to incentivize people to develop and prove that new drugs work for animal medicine. So you actually can get 10 years of exclusivity from the FDA if you develop a generic drug for a novel use case in dogs. So we have actually both. We have in-licensed human drugs, we have generic drugs, but it means that you are able to go in and say, look, this might not work, but it's not going to do any harm. And that's so important when you're trying to create regulatory pathways, when you're trying to convince veterinarians to prescribe something that's never existed before, to convince dog owners to do something they've never done before, to be able to say wholeheartedly, there's decades of data and we don't think this drug's going to do any harm. That helps.
Are you guys feeling any acceleration from various AI models? It seems like we have people on the show every week that are building AI for science, AI for drug development, and foundation models dedicated to it, and yet you're here, you haven't said AI once.
I have not said AI once. This was so funny. It was a meta point. We were like working on like loyal narrative stuff, and I was like, should I just like let go of my ego and like have an AI story? And I was like, anyhow, there's no AI in the loyal story, but like I really debated it because I was like, man, I wonder if this would like increase my valuation by like a factor of 2.
What about ELM?
And that would be good for dogs, and that'd be good for horses, and it'd be good for humans. No, but that's saying something that you're actively doing all of this drug development, and meanwhile, there's companies coming out and they're making the claim, at least to investors, that they're going to be able to, speed up drug development, do it more efficiently, et cetera.
So, so here's the problem.
Because I'm sure you've tried to figure out how do we unlock value here.
Yeah, so here's the problem with AI for drug development is I'm not an AI person, but like I am like in terms of like technically trained, but I am, sure the models are good enough that we gave them biological data, they could infer things that human scientists couldn't. The problem is we don't have those data sets. Like they don't exist for a human. I can't like say, okay, here's like your model, and if I give you the drug, how is it going to react in this part of your body, that part of your body? How is it going to get reduced over time? How is it going to interact with this other drug you're on? We just don't have those data sets.
Yeah, we saw this with AlphaFold. Like AlphaFold came out, protein folding solved. It turned the biotech markets didn't really move because it turns out that actually solving protein folding problems is like 0.1% of the job to do to get a new drug to market. You got to recruit patients and then monitor them and then talk to the FDA and do legal work.
Design the clinical trials.
Yeah, there's so much more to do.
Like our big longevity study that we're running in dogs right now, I think the biggest risk to it is actually operational. It's data quality. It's dogs not dropping out. It's veterinarians complying, right? Like the biggest reason this study would fail is that if we have to throw out a bunch of data in 5 years because it doesn't adhere to the standards that are necessary, right? So there's some interesting AI companies for like the beginnings of drug development, like Chai Discovery is one that's trying to do basically better antibody binding design. That's smart. I think that makes a lot of sense. But I mean, I'd love to be proven wrong, but I think there hasn't been a moonshot for the bio data gathering on the clinical side that would be necessary to like model you and see what works.
Well, it's not a good. Yeah, it's
not also a business.
Yeah, it's not a business. You're taking even if somebody was able to raise $1 billion with the idea, it's like they'd come to you and be like, what do you need? And then they'd be like a services provider to like
and that's the hard thing. Like, so we're building all these biobanks out. And so we're going to have, potentially one of the best data sets of translational aging in a species that's the best model of humans that isn't humans. And so maybe we'll be able to do it from then. But like, I would feel disingenuous for me to say like, yeah, that's a strategy, because just like no one knows. Like biology is like the ultimate black box and it's the ultimate humbler. Honestly.
What about peptides? Are dogs on Ozempic yet? Are dogs on Ozempic?
Actually, so this is my favorite fun fact. Everyone is like, oh, are you just developing like Ozempic for dogs? And the answer is no. Because people don't want their dog to not be hungry. Think about it, right? You go home, your dog's super excited to see you, jumps on you. You're like, oh, my dog loves me so much. I'm the alpha male. Your dog's probably hungry. right? And so when people give their dog Ozempic or Ozempic-like drugs,
Yeah.
It just takes all the joy.
it takes all the joy away.
no, you just
the
grumpy
doesn't-
dog.
The dog becomes a cat.
Oh no.
Wow.
No, this actually
Yeah, if
existed
I think
before.
about like my most cherished memories with my dogs growing up, it was like my dad, my brother, and I making scrambled eggs for the dogs. Right?
Yeah.
It's like that was
Yeah.
peak experience as like a 10-year-old.
No, totally. It's not a good market. So like our other drug that's working on metabolic fitness to extend lifespan, which is very similar to how Ozempic works. It is targeting, improving metabolic fitness, but we make sure explicitly that the mechanism that we're hitting doesn't impact appetence
Yeah.
and doesn't impact weight in general.
Any book recommendations for us?
That's cute that you think I have time to read as a.
Any
a
movie
CEO.
recommendations? Must love dogs. What you got for us? Dog-related
I watched
content?
Love Is Blind France last night.
Okay, Love Is Blind.
You're really trying to turn off.
I'm
your
sorry.
brain.
I want to be one of those like CEOs. Where I'm like, these are the esoteric, hyper intellectual books I'm
I
reading
know-
that
I
like
know who
show
you're
that I'm
talking
smarter than you. What? No, there's no shade.
I was reading a book that there's only one copy. It's thousands of years old.
Yeah.
Rare PDF.
Yeah.
You don't have access to
It's
it.
English, but you wouldn't understand.
Yeah.
But like honestly, like loyal's my all day, every day. Like
Yeah.
I don't have.
What's the general
cognition
routine like
afterwards.
at Loyal for you?
So we're actually fully remote.
Okay.
Which I
Whoa.
know, contrarian, but it actually works well because we have to hire people. We have to hire the best possible person for each skill set we need, and often those people are not actually. They're almost never in the Bay Area. I'm going to St. Louis after this. That's where we have a lot of team members. We have a lot of team members in Kansas. We have them in Florida, right? And so. You get so much more benefit from hiring the right person for the right role than you do saying, I'm going to hire the second or third best person, but they're willing to move to SF, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for me, I actually just like live at coffee shops. I sit out of some of our investors' offices, bring my dog. Maybe one day, whenever I'm able to fly private, I'll bring my dog.
Is
to another
Antonio
TBPN
Gracias the
thing.
one with the two newfies?
No.
Okay, because
No, he does have a cute dog, though, or his partner does.
Because it says you raised from Valor.
I did raise from Valor.
We got to hit the gong for you. Thank you so much.
We're
for
hitting the
coming
gong
to
for
the show.
me.
Of course.
Yes.
I mean,
And all the
it's
dogs.
and all the dogs.
Currently getting studied.
Congratulations.
What's the next big milestone that people should be looking out for?
The next big milestone, I mean, we're just trying to bring this damn drug to market. Honestly, like that's a big one. Hopefully in the next year or so. I mean, pray for us. It's like the hard stuff's behind us, but there's a lot of hard stuff in front of us too. So
Well, good luck.
Caught between hard stuff.
Yes.
As every entrepreneur is.
it's a worthwhile goal.
Anyways, well, I think we can close out the show with you because we actually have to hit the road.
Well, first we got to tell you about 8sleep.com.
yeah, when
Get
are
a
you
Pod
making
5.
smart
We got to put
mattresses
the
for
animals
dogs?
I do have an
on the 8
8
There you
sleeps. You
go.
do have an 8 sleep. That's great. We also got to tell you about
Bill.
Bezel. If you
no.
want a watch for your dog, go to getbezel.com. Get him a Submariner. And
That's
if you
gonna
want to
extend
and if you want to
lifespan.
take your dog on a vacation, head over to Wander.
There you
Find
go.
your happy place. Book a Wander with inspiring reviews.
Thank you.
Hotel
for,
grade amenities,
the
dreamy beds,
chat
top
says,
tier
when
cleaning.
can we buy loyal stock? I'm assuming you can't answer that.
We
but,
I
Gotta raise
isn't
the
that
fund.
SEC something. Okay, sorry guys.
Private company. Become a venture capitalist.
someday
Before you do it.
in a very bright future, I'm sure.
Yes.
Although
But
biotech
thank you
companies
for
public
tuning in with us
Thank you for
today.
tuning in.
We will be back tomorrow morning. I can't wait.
see you
And,
tomorrow.
Have a great afternoon.
Goodbye.
Love you. Bye.